Incoming transmission. Let's go!
Welcome everybody. We're here at the finals of Season 2 in the GSL to crown a champion. The last champion to be crowned here in GSL before we crown another world champion at the Esports World Cup just around the corner.
Rogue versus Classic. What year is it, Tasteless? Rogue the legend, he is back.
Artosis calls him the GOAT. But he could be proven right today. Rogue, who has won, what did he say in that intro video? What, 4 GSLs, 2 IEMs, as well as a BlizzCon, a former world champion. But he faded out. He had to do his military service. He took some time off. He's back in Season 2, and he's ready to win again. Only one player stands in his way. A player from the same era he dominated in. This will be a historical rematch of two Titans who in the past were unstoppable. Now they're both back here today.
Well, he said in that interview to his 10-year younger self, you know, your success back then is as far as it went. Well, look at this. Here he is back again in the GSL Finals, begging his taste for being one of the strongest Protoss players in the world. He dispatched GuMiho, a player on fire in commanding fashion. Now here he is again looking for another GSL title, looking to take down one of the greatest StarCraft 2 players of all time in a Rogue.
And now it's a time for the interview with the two finalists. Two players equally desperate for the win. They both want to win so badly. And Rogue, you finally made it to the finals this GSL Season 2. And it's Classic standing in your way. What do you think? He's definitely one of the GOATs in the StarCraft 2 scene. You know, I'm not too confident because I didn't have that much time to prepare, but I will do my best. So you did say he's one of the best players in StarCraft 2. Who else in GSL? I mean, all the other GOATs I defeated on my way here. Classic. You made it to the finals. And you made it to the finals after 11 years. And right now Rogue is looking so happy, smiling during this interview. And then he just called you the number 2 of the list of the best players he considers. Honestly, I thought Hero was gonna make it to the finals, so I only prepared PvP. So I'm a little startled. And I think I might be able to hold up the trophy today. In my mind, I'm celebrating right now. So you didn't believe that Rogue would be standing here on the final stage? That's right. He didn't even think about it. Not even in his greatest imagination. So Rogue, what about you? Well, I never thought Classic would make it here. Like who would, who would think that Classic would defeat GuMiho to make it here, right? And honestly, I didn't believe myself to be the finals as well because I didn't think I'd beat Hero.
만약에 4강이 도호영이었으면
And if the round of 4 was against Classic, that would have been an easy win, an easy trio. So you lived up the GSL trophy 4 times until now, and now you're waiting for your fifths.
너무 오랜만에 이제 7판 4선 결승전이
Well, this is the best of 7 in a long time.
준비 기간이 너무 짧다 보니까
And as I said before, the prep time was very short, so I'm a little disappointed about that.
어떨지 저도 궁금해요. 지금.
But I'll just have to see how the game pans out. And you just watched Classic's game, so what do you think about that?
도호영이 확실히 이제 후반을 너무 잘하더라고요.
Well, Classic looks really strong in the end game,
저는
in the later half of the game.
박한선 선수가 더 잘한다고 느껴요.
And I feel like he's plays better than Zaun, to be honest. But in the late game, I think I can defeat him. Now Rogue is saying that number 1 is Hero, number 2 is Zaun, and number 3 is Classic. So anything you want to say for that? Rogue is not even in my top 5, so I'm fine with that. So well, Classic, congratulations on the win today. So any words on your mindset heading into the series? Well, Rogue is really strong when it comes to the finals. He's a veteran. He has a lot of experience. I'll try to put a good performance and try to win today. Then any word to Rogue? Well, you already have the EWC seed, right? So concede this one to me. And those were the words of Classic. Rogue, now, anything you want to say in front of the fans, your mindset? Well, EWC is that seed is in its own category. This is different.
도호영이 이제 오늘 아니면 이제 우승 못할 것 같거든요.
And I feel like Classic, if not today, he's probably not gonna lift the GSL trophy again. And I will make him not be able to. And if you don't win today, maybe the next finals will be 10 years later. Well, Rogue has never been defeated in the finals, but I'll make today the first time he gets defeated in the finals. Well, the 2 finalists are waiting for the grand finals match of GSL Season 2. Who will be the one lifting the trophy today? We'll find out now.
All right, guys, we are here. We are ready. This is a best of 7 with Rogue versus Classic. And I got to say, this was just not a finals I had imagined possible. Not even when we got to the round of 8 and saw what our lineup was.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a season of surprising results. Rogue suddenly just exploding back into form, taking down the best Protoss player in the world in Hero in convincing, aggressive fashion. And then Classic, him versus GuMiho. You always know Classic has a chance. He is so hard to break down. He's one of the most resilient players we have here in the GSL. And clearly that carried him to the 3-1 win. But just as Classic said, Rogue has not lost a finals. And even in the GSL, most of the players that he's taken down have been legendary Protosses. He's defeated Stats, Trap, and Creator. 3 Protosses already dispatched by his hand. Will he add another name to that list and win his 5th GSL title?
There's something about his ability to conjure up the best plays, the best control in a finals. Like, some players, they can overcome the odds and the stress and the anxiety and the pressure and the eyes on them in a finals. But someone like Rogue, he really thrives in it. He seems to be able to harness that power, to leverage it, to kind of let that bring him the best possible games. Now, Classic, I got to say, this guy has, I think, filled the role of the best conservative Protoss that we've got here, I think, anywhere in the whole world. Doesn't mean he won't cheese or do some aggressive timings. I think you got to mix it up on some level if you're going to be a champion of the GSL. But you know, the games he played against GuMiho, I think just the way PvZ operates compared to PvT, you can't function in the same way. But we'll see.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That torch has been passed on to Classic. These standard, safe, defensive Protoss, so hard to break, so hard to kill. But Rogue, in that series versus Hero, one of the most aggressive Protoss players that we have seen, he was not afraid to bust out the cheese. He came out with so many different tactics. Every game he had a plan to try and completely derail the strategy of his opponent. That was the best of 5 series. It went to game 4. How many more of those moves does he have ready here for Classic? Because although Hero is arguably the stronger player, the stronger Protoss player right now, it is a very different style. Classic is much better on the defense. He's much more resilient than Hero is. And for Rogue to have already used those strategies to get here, to now try and unlock something more against the best defensive Protoss player in the world, I think it's a challenge. I think we are in for a treat, Tasteless. No matter the result, I have no idea who's going to win this one.
We're going to go to Persephone here for map number 1. It is a best of 7, so the first player to get 4 wins will become the champion. Again, a finals here from like a different era. This feels like 7 years ago. It feels like pre-pandemic GSL finals. All right, guys, Rogue, who has somehow managed to get this far, cutting Hero down with some cheesy, crazy games. Classic took the macro conservative route. Let's see what kind of series these two create as game 1 is ready to go.
We already had the cheers in the audience bungled there.
Hey, it's game 1.
It's game
Give
1.
him some time to cook.
Next couple games, they'll get it down. Okay, so it's Rogue in the top and Classic at the bottom.
Yeah, Rogue the Blue Zerg spawning in the top left here on Persephone, going for a 15 hatch. Classic all the way down in the bottom left with the Gateway Scout. I am so excited for this series to begin unraveling.
Yeah, you know, so Rogue had a couple builds that he just came out with that were like so advanced, so specific that Hero didn't get to play the games he wanted to play. I would not be shocked if Rogue has a couple more of those.
Yeah, I would think so.
That is the nation of Australia with a Protoss sign in it, if I see correctly. Now, let's see if Rogue has any kind of weird timings. One thing about Rogue is he's always, it does feel like a lot of times it's 50-50. It's like raw, macro power, upgrading, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then there are just these crazy cheeses. Or, Roach Ravager rushes, stuff like that.
He is able to switch it up so seamlessly. And both aspects of Rogue's play historically have just been absolutely deadly, whether he's trying to get you with a timing attack, whether he's going for some obscenely early cheese, or he decides to play the late game. When Rogue was in his prime, he was the best at all 3 of those things. He was the complete package. It's one of the reasons why he won so many GSL titles, so many titles around the world, why he was a world champion. Whereas Classic back in 2014, which, unless I'm mistaken, was over 10 years ago, when he won his GSL title against Sue, he also had a lot of variance in his play. He would go for some sorts of timing attacks, but he would also occasionally step back, go for the standard safe style. These days, the Classic that has showcased his gameplay in the GSL, at least over the past couple of weeks, has showcased largely defensive play. And while that has led to him getting a berth here in the GSL Finals, minimum top 2, seeking his 2nd GSL trophy, you have to wonder, against a player like Rogue, who is so capable of mixing it up, are we going to have Classic go a little bit off script? Are we going to have him try maybe some more zany tactics, as it's no longer a best of 3, it's no longer a best of 5, it is a best of 7. You have a little bit more time, more breathing room to play things out creatively here in terms of the way you're planning your builds. As it is right now in game number 1, it seems like Classic just getting his footing. This is a very standard opening. 1 gateway, seems like the 2nd gateway, yes, going down here. Nice safe play with the Oracle. By the book here on both sides.
And we don't have any clear tech yet. I mean, Stargate is pretty generic when it comes to PvZ, right? I mean, you're going to get the Oracle almost all the time. And Zerg is not teching in anything just yet either. I mean, it's still a development phase of the game here. We're a perfect save, by the way. Get that thrown into the score. Does get a kill over there. But yeah, we're still waiting to see what exactly the tech is going to be. Nice run in here, though, with this Oracle actually getting 5-6 drones. That's unheard of this early on.
Yeah, 5 kills on that Oracle. The Adept, I wasn't super happy with it from the beginning, but the Oracle follow-up just perfectly timed getting there right before this 4-crawler was done, and the second Oracle popping. Not only able to save this pro, but also just keep this third base nice and safe here for Classic as he's going to double up on the gases. No doubt Twilight Council and Forge should be following in the moment unless we have a real big mix-up here from Protoss, because Classic, he has been the most standard PvZ player I think we've had so far in GSL. He loves to go up into third base, usually up 2 gateways, nice and safely as he is right now, into 6 gate storm. And from there, Protoss, they can really do anything. You can either continue to develop up in gateways and expand and play a more aggressive game. That might be the way that Classic opts to play, given that Rogue, at least in his recent history in the GSL, in addition to the GSL qualifiers, has been playing very aggressive styles. Lots of Zerglings, lots of Banelings, rapid melee upgrades on those units. In addition, staying on layer a lot longer than other Zerg players that we would see, foregoing the Hive instead for Hydralisks or just Baneling timing attacks with Roaches.
Okay, so I mean, the number of drones that have been picked off in this game is wild. At this level, it's pretty unheard of to actually get in and snipe that many drones. We had 6 hit earlier. We had another 3 hit back there. I mean, there's a lot of jabs coming in here from Classic that are going to make Rogue pretty uncomfortable. It's going to be hard. You know, we were talking about the fact that he likes to do these timings. He's also getting Ling, a melee attack, and a Baneling's Nest is about to finish. Maybe he's got some of the ideas that we saw in the anti-blink timing, taking the third out. Let's not forget that game. That was pretty interesting to cast. I don't really get to see that very often in a match like this, but the idea is that if you're going to do Heroes style of kind of like having gateways out on the map and getting blink and kind of retreating behind your Nexus, the Banelings and Lings just overpower you and wipe you out. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but maybe it could.
I feel like he's lost too many drones to really go for that style unless he wants to do something like a fully commit it all in. And Rogue seems to be recognizing that as well. 12 drones in production a moment ago as he's trying to finally eclipse Classic in the worker count. And meanwhile, on Protoss side of things, just playing everything completely standard. 6 gateways, blink, +1 ground weapons. The first Templar are warping in. We even have some static defense coming down. Twilight Council, or not Twilight Council, excuse me, Shield Battery and Photon Cannon, but really interesting to me, already an infestation pit for Rogue. He has been playing so much layer-based games in ZVP. If this is for a fast Hive, that is a pretty significant change.
Yeah, very interesting. Lings are going to come in here, and they somehow, in almost a miraculous way, trigger the entire trap.
Yeah.
So nothing's going to get killed right away. And they're going to unthaw at the same time here. Blink is done.
It's Hive already, Tasteless.
Yeah, super fast Hive. Low base is, at least for what we're used to seeing. And he's going to be able to kill off a decent amount of these Lings. So again, things not looking great. I mean, things are not going incredibly smoothly here for Rogue.
No, but this is such an interesting style. This is reminding me a little bit of the way that Shin was playing ZVT in Dallas some weeks ago with this super fast Hive tech coming in. And with Carapace now getting researched, +2 melee getting researched, we might have something like a really big swell of Ultras coming in about 2 minutes. I can't really think what else he would do with this Hive tech. There's no Hydralisk Den just yet. It's pure Ling Baneling. As Rogue is now taking his 5th base. These Oracles trying to find more damage, but the Queen's aptly positioned for our Zerg player. Now this game has me excited because this is a style that I personally haven't seen from Rogue. And the games that I have watched him getting ready for this round of 4, this finals, this is going a little bit different than the way that he normally develops. And I feel like the range that we were anticipating him having after that series versus Hero is absolutely there. Ultralisk Den getting thrown down, Adrenal queued up, Neural Parasite as well, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's basically skipped a lot of the juicy interesting mid-game tech. He went from starter tech to end-game tech. And he's basically going to stay back and turtle. And let's not forget, Classic is sort of known as a methodical macro Protoss. And so in some ways, he's given him the oxygen to do that. And so we're going to get into the Ultralist tech very quickly. We have a wave of Overlords coming down here.
Standard 9-minute Overlord timing attack. No, there's just going to be
Yeah.
positioning over here on the left. Oh,
So
my-
he's
is
gonna
he
turn
going to
these
drop all the Lings and Ultras in the main?
Yeah, I guess he can. And you know, when you look at the way the map is, you kind of expand to the right side of the map. You start on the left, no matter whether you're top or bottom, and kind of push to the right. You're kidding me.
He's gonna spot it. Somehow Classic is spotting this. The gigantic flood. There are so many Lings. The Stalker's already blinking under. Just not barely enough to one-shot these Overlords, but already 2 of them going down. 2 more very low on HP, and now the recall is coming in. Storms on the Lings, flooding the third base. Classic perfectly parrying this attack from Rogue.
I mean, this is kind of crazy. Classic could not have done better back there. Punishing the Lings. I mean, if you were not ready for the drops, I think you're either going to lose the main or you're going to lose your fourth. But he's going to try to drop in here anyways, but it's an easy warp in to deflect this back. Zealot's coming here to clean this out. And kind of an awkward spot right now for Rogue. He's not really able to do a whole lot. He obviously still has the Lings, the Ultras, and all that. But, you know, how exactly is Classic going to fight this in the middle of the map?
This is a powerful Zerg army, though. We don't have infestors on the field just yet, so Neuroparasite not going to be a factor here. Banelings run in, get 7 kills at the third base of Classic, and now the engagement coming in. Storms are huge on the Banelings and the Lings, but the Lings finally get the surround. Stasis traps also triggered. Ultras, they do not care about that. They're pushing forward, and Rogue with this surprising fast Ultra tech. It doesn't matter how good Classic was in the early game, catching that drop. This was a resounding victory here for Rogue. Really swinging the momentum back in his favor. Classic, he needs to start pumping out Immortals and quickly, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a lot of trouble. These units are getting cleaned up so easily. The shields on the Archons are gone, and they die shortly after that. All he needs to do is come down here and take out the third or the fourth base. I think Protoss might be able to have enough to handle this, but it's hard to say. I mean, the Ultras are so beefy. The Immortals are extremely strong at taking out these Ultras, but oh god, we have so many injured probes over here. Had the Banes connected, it would have been even worse.
A bit of an ambitious follow-up to that attack by Rogue, pushing across the map. The Immortal at the third or the fourth base and the Stalkers at the third were able to deal with those Ultras. And now things have largely equalized. Both players have had their armies effectively reset down to 0. They have to start with the basic building blocks again. Classic pumping out just the second round of Immortals. But the upgrades through the roof right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think that might be +2 or +3 shields even. Researching here for Classic. +2, in fact, with +3 ground weapons on the way.
Another drop going to come in here, but it doesn't look like there's another attack on the side to really capitalize on this. Might just be something to try to keep Classic busy back at home. Oh my god, he's going to go for the forge for the attack.
Yeah, these are Adrenalines. They do a ton of damage. Might be able to get +1 ground weapons. It is so low. 15 HP on that forge. Barely saved. 20 seconds away, but it's able to complete. Oh, that Stalker warp in too from Classic. So clutch. Body blocking the Ultras. And the Lings also coming in. Wow, it's just blow after blow with these two in game number 1. And now Ultras entering the field. I believe the 4th or the 5th Infestor just finished to complement those Ultras as well.
Yeah, he's coming down here now. Decent job on these Stalkers. Again, right out Classic, just trapped on 4 bases. Growth continuing to occur over here for Rogue. And, you know, it's funny, these drop overlords, it's been clear they've been here the whole time.
Oh, no!
Oh, God.
That was not the way to deal with those Lings.
Yeah.
So many probes getting taken out there. I wonder how many for friendly fire. And the Lings also got the shields. Luckily, that was just started there for Classic. But already 32 probes have fallen.
We're going to get up to 5 Immortals in this game right now. Even
it's
more than
many
that.
more
It's way
than
more
that.
than that. Okay, so he's like up to 9, I think I counted.
But we do have Neuroparasite Tasteless.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is what you're doing as Zerg is you're kind of forcing him to make this tech, and then you switch into that tech, right? And suddenly you're able to punish. We've got a mothership on the way here. More Lings getting ready to drop. And, you know, it's like one of those campaign missions where Classic is just supposed to survive for 30 minutes until they get the army off the base, only that's not how this game's supposed to work. Raiders Rogue is continuing to just take so much of the map right now. And, you know, I mean, it's just Protoss constantly coming back home and defending, cleaning this up. And, you know, there's no active push from Protoss. You can see he's mustered a decent amount of ultras. He's getting those infestors. The Lings are expendable, right? They're the most expendable thing in the game, even though they're so powerful when you have those adrenal upgrades. But, you know, now Zerk's getting into the gold base over here. He's looking untouchable.
10 Immortals on the field right now, Tasteless. Also, I love Classic, his main base. He's lost so many forges that he builds it at the third, and the Lings roll in and immediately take it out. He wants that +3 shields.
I gotta say, Rogue looks so scary.
This is a powerful Rogue indeed. Nidus Network was being constructed there by Rogue. We'll see how he decides to use it. Already, these drops have been so effective.
Wouldn't shock me if he drops and then just does a Nidus Network right there in your face and then sends the Ultras in.
I think that must be the
play.
play.
You know, you could basically, Immortals are like the clunkiest, slowest Protoss unit, really, that you're moving around the map with. It's not fast.
They will shred these Ultras, but the Neural Parasite is a huge threat for Classic.
Yeah. And keep in mind, like, the Protoss is maxed out now, but they don't have anywhere near the kind of income that the Zerg have. So, like, Protoss loses a fight, Zerg can max out again and again and again, and the counterplay is going to be devastating.
The spellcasting is going to be so important in this fight, more so than your typical late-game PvZ fight, as insane as that is to say, because if these armies, they move into each other, Classic wipes the floor with Rogue. It's 4 Archons, it's double-digit Immortals, there's a Mothership here as well. Rogue has a lot of money invested into 12 Infestors with Neural Parasite. There are a ton of Templar that can feed back those Infestors if they get in range. It's going to be up to Rogue to get the Spellcaster connections that he needs. Revelation coming in. There is Cloaking. We do have 4 Overseers. But the Infestors have been revealed. Classic is going to have his mind on this as a lose condition from here on out. He has to dodge the Neural Parasites.
Rogue has filled in basically all the expansions on his side of the map. The gold one is, of course, a contested expansion, but it'll probably go to Zerg this game. So, you know, there's a lot more map to grow into here for Classic. I'm not going to call the game to be this way yet, but I just want to put the idea out there that Zerg will mine out before the Protoss does, due to the rhythm of this game so far for each race.
Yeah, but the bank for Rogue is just absolutely massive right now. 3,000 minerals, pushing 2.5k gas. It's only 72 workers at this point, but he has his entire side of the map. And another Nidus coming into the main base. Hasn't yet been spotted by Classic. If those Infestors can get up into the main base, it's going to be really hard for Classic to get there, because Neural Parasite going to be a lot more effective on that ramp, a lot more effective if there is a recall into the main base. Although a lot of these units just aren't ready in the Nidus Canal.
Yeah, it looks like he decides to just abandon that for now. No counterattack over here on the far right. Does seem to be kind of an exposed position here for Classic with that base out there. But, you know, Classic's kind of parried everything. Like, we're in a game now where, you know, it feels like it's going to get harder and harder for Rogue to come up with any kind of solution to what Classic has, as long as Classic keeps fighting this all away. He can just basically play defense.
But I like the moves he's making. Okay, Ultra's coming in again. They are going to retreat, but that was a lot of Templar energy used. Storm not particularly effective against Ultras just because of their size, but also their high hit point pool. Is the Link Floods have been getting so much done. I think Classic says, you know what, it's time to go. I've taken too much damage back at home. My bank is minuscule. I know my opponent has a massive bank with how long they've been able to macro. I need to win this game, win it now. It's all going to come down to the Neural Parasites in this engagement. Ultra's charging in. First Archons in the front line getting neuraled. They're out of range of the Infestors. The feedback's on the front line only just now coming in, but I think the Protoss army just a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I mean, he completely wiped them. That's insane. Protoss still maxed out right now. The entire position is crumbling. He's just going to barrel forward. He could go right up into the main where all the infrastructure is. He could try to pick off every base. That's it, GG.
Wow.
Classic weathered the storm. And with a beautiful final fight, came through there and crushed Rogue. Rogue had some great ideas with counterattacks. There was moments it seemed like Classic was so destabilized that maybe Rogue could just kind of keep counterattacking and the supply would plummet down, you know, below 100, and that would end it. But instead, you know, Classic just sort of hung on. He endured, And when he had the absolute perfect comp and had just held off enough counterattacks where he thought, this is my moment, this is my time, he moved through there. And, you know, it's crazy. StarCraft 2, when you have armies that big and there's that many abilities and there's that much stuff that's got to fight, like, it's really hard to get, like, all the right neural parasites off on the right targets and for the Protoss to get into the right angle and everything. And Classic just took the fight, and that was the fatal blow for Rogue.
Those infestors would have been fantastic if there was something like 7 or 8 Immortals in that army. But when there's, what, like a dozen? Near a dozen there for Classic?
Well, the Immortals, all the Ultras just died. And it's like, well, I guess you have Immortals fighting their Immortals now.
Unless you get the perfect neurals, the perfect engagement there from Rogue, it's not going to work. It was a masterfully played game up until that point, though. I must say, Rogue absolutely can hang with Classic. All right, guys, map number 2 is loading up. Classic leading this best of 7, 1-0 as we move on to Torches.
Okay, Rogue in the bottom, Classic at the top, and I was gonna say, is there a world where he'd do this again?
Surely Classic scouts for this, right?
Well, this is what I'm wondering. I'm like, this is like, you know, I'm gonna do a magic trick in front of one person, and then try to do the same magic trick, but the previous person knows how it works.
That probe even glimpsed the drones there for a moment. Oh, this is interesting. Rogue. Normally when he did this in the previous map against Hero on Torches, he sent one of those drones immediately. It was the final drone coming up that the probe glimpsed. The probe didn't glimpse that drone against Hero,
dude,
because Rogue sent it to build the base. Right now to Classic, this looks exactly like what Rogue did versus Hero. He's building a forge back at home and mining the gold minerals because he wants to cannon rush a hatchery that isn't here. Instead, Rogue is expanding to the other gold on the other side of the map.
He's got to cancel that. Okay, he does. I was going to say the cannon, the forge is going to be completely useless.
This is so smart from Rogue.
Well, what I love about this is it gets spotted, and he's like, oh no, I have an alternate route.
I don't think it was even that it got spotted. I think this was always the game plan from Rogue, to make Classic think I'm doing the build I did against Hero. But then instead, I go for that, and then I take this gold. He knows at this point, Classic has already scouted for the proxy hatchery. The probe has gone back. Rogue is double expanded to both gold bases.
This is insane. Now, you know the probe looking around the map, he goes, okay, well, he still doesn't have his natural. He doesn't have his third. But, you know, Rogue, it's back when, I guess, we casted more Rogue games. I mean, he did the gold-based stuff a lot. It's a very specific type of rush. It usually involves roaches.
But you know what Classic is thinking? Because he already checked the right side, he's thinking, you probably took the gold on the left side. Is what I would imagine is going through Classic's head. Of course, now he's going to be seeing some of these drones.
Yeah, he sees the drones going across the map.
He still has no idea about the second gold base.
Yeah. And he could still use the mined out area on the right side of the gold base with a drone to get in there. How many probes actually mined out the gold side for Protoss?
I think it was just 1 or 2 that he pulled down.
But you only need 3.
Yeah, it's only 3 trips.
He's
3 trips.
One drone goes up there, nibbles at the minerals, and it's the same story.
I'm not sure if Classic fully mined it out. He might have fully mined it out with just those handful of probes, but it remains to be seen. In any case, these Lings coming in. There isn't an Adept to deal with this, so Classic going to have to vacate the space, even throwing down a pylon to wall everything in. And Rogue right now, he's buying time. It's only 22 drones, but a lot of those drones are on the gold minerals right now. And Classic, his workers, the natural expansion until just this moment were idle. So it's actually a Rogue with a slightly higher mineral income right now.
So we've got more Lings coming, and Ling Speed's about to finish. I thought this might be a Roach Warren, but it's not. It is going to be mass Lings.
It's a lot of Lings in production, too. How many is he going to make? He's already starting to go back into drones. The Adepts, I'm worried Classic might tunnel vision on this gold base on the left side. Even though he has a Stargate, even though he has an Oracle, he might not come and check this second gold base.
Yeah, and also it looks like he's not going to be doing anything aggro at all. I kind of imagined, because of the gold minerals that might be mined out on the side, that this would be something where you try to run in.
Okay.
But instead, he's just going to sit back. He's going to spore up. And, you know, he's sitting on 2 gold bases, which is an insane economic engine.
I'm not sure Classic with that Oracle even spotted the creep. He might just think that Rogue is killing these Zerg rocks just to open the pathway and not put 2 and 2 together. Now that Oracle is moving back towards the right side gold at 3 o'clock. Okay, he does know.
Yeah, so now he knows. This is a really bad feeling. When you see that they're on 2 gold bases, which can easily fund additional expansions over here. I see adepts being made, but I just don't know. It feels like there's enough lings in this that you should be able to fight this.
I don't think he saw the lings. Those shades have very low amounts of vision, and 14 more lings are in production. Glaive's only just now started.
Boy. Here we go.
The gold in Classic's base is getting mined out. These adepts, yes, they do have the oracles to assist them, but the adepts alone against the lings are not going to do very much.
I like the little stasis here. That's kind of fun. Okay, there's one adept to fight that over there.
I don't think it's fully mined out just yet.
He's going to trigger it.
Okay, coming into the main base now. There is only one queen here in the main. One of these oracles low on energy. They are coming in now, these lings, trying to get this around. So far, only a couple of drones going down, but this is going very well for Classic. He's making the best out of a tough situation, trying to find damage with these oracles, with these adepts. But as the oracles effectively run out of energy here in the center of the map, those adepts are going to have to hightail it all the way back home.
Yeah.
7 minerals remaining. Just one more trip.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
adept
if there's a way,
guard.
I don't know how many drones you'd need, but if you can get that one open.
I reckon if it's just one adept, 2 drones should do it.
I think so. It feels about right. Definitely 3. But yeah, I mean, maybe the play is no longer to try to break him open by doing that. He's going to go for Banelings, and I wonder if he could just do like a traditional Baneling bust and blow up both the gateways.
The Banelings might also just be because he's anticipating Glaives coming in. The Banelings are really good if those adepts get clumped up, especially with the oracles being as low on energy as they are.
Okay, Glaives moving out now.
We do have 6 Banelings for Rogue, a ton of lings. These are
Here we
Glaive
go.
adepts, but the surround is coming in. The Banelings looking for the connections. Big shots on those adepts. And this is Classic's entire development up until this point on 2 bases. Was all of those Glaive adepts. He's reset down to 1 Stalker, 1 Sentry at home, and the Oracles in the sky. Rogue is navigating this game so well, and he is really confusing Classic, I think, with these early game tactics. I mean, whenever you play a game like this one, we were talking about trying to knock Hero off balance. Well, I think this game, more than anything else here on Torches, is knocking Classic off balance. It is developed so unnaturally. I guarantee Classic has never played a PvZ quite like this on Torches.
I mean, this is a one-of-a-kind game right now, but it looks just hopeless for the Protoss. I mean, the Glaives tech was literally just swallowed up in the map by the Lings and the Banelings, so he didn't get much done. I guess he can kind of push into this area and expand and take a third over here. I mean, there's a decent amount of sentries, so force fields are going to be handy. But it just depends on the Ling Baneling connections here. He takes out the Overlord. He's in striking distance of this base here, and so that's going to prompt Rogue to just abandon this and switch all of his workers over here into the bottom. We also have Roach Tech coming up here. So, in some ways, Classic is starting to kind of navigate this maze of a game. And, by taking out one of the gold bases, that's already a pretty big win. I wonder if he can continue to push here with this.
Ooh, maybe these roaches.
Yeah. I don't know if it was totally worth it to get some of those roaches, like just one for a force field, but maybe. The counterattack, oh my god, completely shut down.
Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit better here for Classic after that initial push just kind of failed. The gold base on the right side is so exposed, and honestly, on this map, PvZ, in a situation not unlike this one, it's often more natural for the Protoss to develop in the way that Classic is, where you wall off this completely, and you just take the right side of the map and expand towards the Zerg opponent. It is very tough for Rogue to find an angle to try and break this. And Rogue, he hasn't been droning behind all this. He's actually been pumping Roaches, he's been pumping Ravagers. 5 Ravagers now on the field, a lot more Roaches about to finish with Roach speed. Classic still only on 2 bases, that third not yet online. He's going to be gunning for this gold base, and I feel like this is the battle that more than anything is going to tell the tale.
Okay, he's going to unload the Adepts over here. He could do another Warpin round. The angle seems pretty good for Protoss. The force fields continuing to isolate the Lings as they try to wrap around more and more, but it does create, I was about to say, kind of a fish in a barrel situation here, where the Ravagers can then peg down these units in a small area, but it's not quite happening.
What an engagement from Classic, man. Those force fields just placed beautifully right now. Morlings are coming in. 10 drones go down to the main base. That is very painful here for Rogue. Oh, the Natural's completely undefended. Rogue is rallying all his forces to try and deal with the force of Classic at the front line. And yes, it did work, but at what cost? 21 drones have fallen. 23 workers in total now for Rogue. In one of the most wild, topsy-turvy PvZs I have ever seen, Classic somehow seems to finally be getting the better end of the trade. 55 supply for Rogue. He will finally clean up these adepts. But the army that Classic has recharged with back at home, considering how poorly the initial Adept Glaives attack went, considering how late the third base for Protoss was established, Classic needed a perfect fight, and he got it, Tasteless. He is back in this game. What a turnaround from just a couple of minutes ago.
I mean, this is incredible. Right now, Zerg is in a very tough spot. They're going to try to do a counterpunch in here. This needs to work, and I'm not sure that it can. The force fields are really good right now. He's just going to try to stutter step micro back as best he can.
Wow.
Going to warp it a little bit more. The Lings disappear, and suddenly it's just 4 Ravagers. GG.
What a game.
Classic is halfway there. 2-0. And by the way, that game looked so over in the first, 2 minutes, 3 minutes from Rogue's perspective. He's on 2 gold bases. He was mining out the gold, about to mine out the last gold little opening there on the side. I mean, Classic played a genius level game. And now I'm really worried for Rogue because those are 2 extremely different approaches, but ultimately it was Classic just kind of scouting, intuiting, defending, counterattacking, then pulling back, repooling units. And Rogue, it was just like, watching a guy. The Classic was like riding the Rogue bull, and he just never got thrown off, And eventually the clock ran out. It's like, yeah, Classic, you win.
That was just an absurd game. I have never seen an early game quite like that from Rogue. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, we're going to continue on with the GSL Finals. Map number 3 will be here in a bit. We'll see you soon.
That's right, I'm the best in this. I won't lose, I'm the best in this. Who really want to take that risk? Not a soul, because they all get the gist. That's right, I'm the best in this. I won't lose, I'm the best in this. Who really want to take that risk? Not a soul, because they all get the gist.
Take the long road, cracks that keep my secrets. Like a dream, I'm silent while I'm screaming. Oh, I follow the lights, go for the ride. Chasing the dragon, I'm ready to fly. Losing the time, day into night. See the kaleidoscope color me It's amazing how I don't even gotta say it. 'Cause you know you're looking at a champion. I'll walk through fire, I'll bring the lighter. You're looking at a champion. Down to the wire, you'll never see me tired. You're looking at a champion. You're looking at a champion. You're looking at a victory is in my veins. History is mine to make. Victory is in my veins. History is mine to make. You're looking at a champion. I'll walk through fire, I'll bring the lighter. You're looking at a champion. Down to the wire, you'll never see me tired. You're looking at a champion. You're looking at a champion. You're looking at a
난 편집하지 않아. 그게 진짜 나니까. 새로운 도전과 색다른 재미, 함께하는 즐거움까지. 여기 숲에서 끝없이 스트리밍 중. 라이브 스트리밍을 넘어 라이프 스트리밍이 되다. 숲.
We're getting the gamer monk chants. You hear that music?
That's when you know the boss fight is entering
That's
the
right,
second
yeah.
stage.
This is when basically Rogue, his health has gone to 0, and then the music changes and another health bar comes up.
The jacket comes off.
Yeah, that's right.
Rogue is in his final form.
So, Classic is up 2-0, and I gotta say, they were two of the most impressive PvZ wins I've ever seen.
It was
And
pretty
I'm not just saying that
crazy.
because like we're in a finals and I'm trying to be the hype guy. Like
Yeah.
game one was insane. Rogue had like the entirety of the map and was doing drops and hitting everywhere, and he just kept it together, kept defending. Classic pushed through with one push and killed him. And then in game two, I mean, what an unusual and insanely complex, difficult position to be in. Your opponent's taken double gold bases. You pushed out with the depths and lost everything, and then he wins with a calculated push, a series of moves on the map, shutting down every base, stopping every counterattack, and ultimately having enough depth shaded into the main and the natural to kill all the drones. Rogue, to be honest, guys, I kind of thought he was going to take this one going into this. Classic could not be impressing me more right now with these wins.
Yeah, both game one and game two, it felt like Classic came back from a position of disadvantage and won. And Rogue, he's trying these tactics, he's mixing it up, he's going for all these different strategic plays. Even though they aren't going well for Classic on the defense, like the initial handling hasn't been the best. Like the Ultras caught him off guard, his initial army got nearly wiped. he had a Remax on maybe a dozen Immortals. He's able to push through and win. And then game number 2, just like you said, the double gold, having a poor read on the way the game was going, the Adepts getting caught in the center of the map and still clawing his way back with a game-ending push. The fact that Classic won game 1 and game 2 in that manner, this guy's on fire right now. I don't know if Rogue is going to be able to penetrate his armor, but we're about to find out. Map number 3 is loading up. Let's go to Incorporal.
Okay, Rogue in the bottom and Classic in the top. It's going to be a fast expand opening here for Classic. And yeah, I just don't know what to expect here from Rogue. It does seem like if Rogue's on a map where he can make it weird, he'll do just that. But seeing that last game, well, sorry, the first game, I should say. Oh my God, he almost actually got it planted. That's crazy.
That's painful. We're gonna have a second drone come down. Have to wait and see. That's a T1 jacket. Wow.
GSL never dies. We've been doing pretty good at not dying here.
I love these drawings. Was that a Reaver there in the top left?
That was.
G5L versus second GSL after what, 6 years? Might even be more. So good to have all these people come down here for the finals, by the way. It is a packed house. We have like double the seats that we normally do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a great great day of games here. Not exactly the longest day either.
No, I was bracing for a marathon.
I thought, well, we also didn't have to do the tiebreaker, but the series with Hero and Rogue was so good, but also fast. So, we're waiting to see the tech develop here. The core has gone down for Classic, and the third base is going to come down here in a second for Rogue. Classic has played much more of a reactive style. I do feel like, when stats went away we sort of didn't have like a macro defender king Protoss as much. Your heroes, your guys with massive ranges of builds like creators sort of took over. But now that Classic's here, I mean, he really does seem to show this kind of solid, no-nonsense Protoss. Yeah. Like, he's actually the one watching the Zerg and kind of, tweaking what his behavior is and how he's approaching this and updating his tech and how he wants to play.
He's adding to a storyline of defensive, reactive Protoss players who are just masterful at coming out of even the toughest situations.
And, I don't know if he will have a cheesy game today. I mean, it's not like he can't do that, but it's interesting to just see him kind of lean into that because the only guy I can think of that played like that was Stats, and maybe before that was Rain.
Right. I would say Rain, Neeb, and then Stats are the three that really come to my mind. Neeb was truly the master of late game PvC for what felt like years.
Where it's like, I know how far the rabbit hole goes in this matchup. So yeah, we're seeing it happen here now. And the fact that it's working versus Rogue is just wild.
Especially with the curveballs that Rogue is coming out with. I mean, the fast ultra play in game number 1, I was so convinced after Classic got routed in the center of the map that he was going to get pushed to the brink and it would be Rogue winning the first map of the series, but instead he was just barely able to claw his way back, similarly to the way that he did in game number 2.
So the Lings are going to get in here. I mean, they get a full scout.
Yeah, speed would be done too.
Yeah, and just seeing that it's going to be Oracles coming out is enough for you to go, okay, there's nothing too crazy happening so far here.
Yeah, it's what you expect, but confirmation is always good, especially in a finals like this one where Classic hasn't really showed much of a hand.
And Classic's just going to go for the Pylon Nexus third base here with the Adept wedged in there for defense.
Yeah, right off the 2 gateways. Oracle might be able to get 1. No, do not go for 2.
Oh!
Okay.
Unheard of. Wow.
Trust me,
it's Classic.
It's not unheard of. That happens a lot in my games, Tasteless.
You can see Classic like not just very unhappy with that moment.
Yeah, it was a little too greedy.
Because, I mean, you're losing your ability to monitor at that point in time. A second Oracle will come out, but ideally that second Oracle pairs with the first, and then you get a couple of one-shots off. Like we saw already. Like we saw, it was like 6 kills on drones in game 1 and 1 dive in.
Yeah, 5 with the Oracle. Or, oh no, he's
Okay.
also in range with the Stasis Ward. That Oracle takes so much damage.
Yeah, this is like a terrible opening here.
Yeah, and also even moving this Oracle cross map was a little bit of a gamble because, you know, anytime you lose that initial Oracle, you usually want the second one to be back at home defending the third base. Now, luckily for Classic, Rogue has just been droning up. But at the same time, these Oracles is truly getting nothing done. There is no Spore Crawler here in the natural expansion, so finally he's going to get some damage in. But I think those Queens are going to catch it again.
Okay, this is so bad.
You know, we talk about the Ricky rule, the sort of rule where if Zerg loses more than 3 drones, GG go next. This might be the classic rule where you lose 2 Oracles like this. It's like, all right.
I mean, that was insane.
Yeah, this is brutal. And you can see Rogue recognizing this. He knows that Classic no longer has the most useful defensive tool in the Protoss arsenal, which is the Oracle, because with energy recharge, nearly limitless energy, you can use those Oracle Pulsar Beams as much as you want. And, of course, Zerg in the early game, unless they send Queens and an Overlord, they're not going to be able to kill them on your side of the map.
Yeah, he's just going to try to do a Baneling bust, I believe.
Right, 2 Oracles down. Suddenly, 2 very important parts of that defense are just completely gone.
No
and
fourth
I think we're gonna have a
Oracle
lane
made.
flood.
Yeah, I think he's just going to go for it. I think this will probably work. He's got 18 more Lings coming.
Yeah, 11 Banelings. I'm making an even
Now,
dozen.
You know, I don't see how he holds this just because there's not a whole lot you can do against Banes if you don't have force fields or some way to snipe them, like with Oracles as an example. But this should be just a wash. He should just probably, we're going to be in game 4 in no time.
I don't know if it's that extreme there. Maybe if he gets an Archon right now, but I feel like it needs to be right now, Tasteless. These Banelings are coming in. Templar are warping in. It feels like it might be a little bit too late. Oracle's back. The Archon only just now forming. It is blocking the path of the Banelings. And actually, the probes are going to get, wait, recall to the same Nexus? Recall to the same Nexus and into the arms of those Banelings. 19 probes get taken down. I feel like Classic might have meant to recall to a different expansion.
That could not have been the intention, was to recall there.
Oh, no. At the end of the day, though, if the third base is able to stay alive, and that's a big if, as more Lings are flooding in, actually 32 in production tastes. We even have +1 melee. Oh, there are Lings in the main base behind all of this. We didn't even catch it. Classic is falling apart right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know, maybe the game goes on somehow, but right now the Lings, they're too high in number. There's too much, you know, just spilling out onto the map here. 30 probes already down. And more Lings are coming, you know. He's going to take at least the Nexus out.
I'm not sure how much more Rogue can do than this, though. With Storm done, we have a Templar Warp and an Energy Recharge. Those Lings will not be able to break down that wall.
You know, it's 52 workers to 39 as well. So it's like, you know, Rogue was not making workers the whole time. Granted, he's ahead, not just in workers, but in bases, especially going up to a 5th base right now. But yeah, this just looks really impossible here for Classic.
What do you even do here as Classic? Do you try to take a third? Do you warp in a couple Templar and try to go for a counterattack? It's so many Zerglings. Even these +1 Zealots just getting ripped to shreds. This early game, just a train wreck for the Protoss player. And Rogue, he is confirming there is no extra base. There's no third base getting taken just yet. We have more Stalkers getting warped in. No Templar, interestingly. It almost feels like Classic is going to try to go for something like a Blink Stalker Oracle all in, but hitting against the Zerg, who is now on 5 hatcheries with 11 Hydras about to pop, I feel like it is only a matter of time until this attack is thwarted and Rogue is finally going to be on the board.
So for now, I mean, you're just kind of watching Classic struggle to get back on the map. Again, this all goes back to those Oracles that we saw picked off there. You know, one of the reasons why we don't see this all the time is because the Oracles will just kill all the Lings or snipe the Banelings. But yeah, you see what happens when it goes away. Grooved Spines is being upgraded. And this should be, I think, a fairly unremarkable next couple of minutes here. Oh God.
just lose all the Oracles this game. Get it out of the system now.
Get
for
the
rest
Oracle
of the
losses out of your
series.
system, exactly.
It's like that first ladder game you queue up where everything goes wrong. It's like, well, I guess at least I finished all the mistakes I had to make today.
Hydraling Bane are going to come forward here. Now, there is Psystorm available.
There's a lot of Storm, but I don't know how many Storms it's going to take to deal with this Concave, to stop this push that's about to come in from Rogue. But I feel like it's a lot more than Classic has. Oh, the Storm even getting stopped right there by the Stasis. As now the Stalkers blink back, the Templar are routed, the Lings and Banelings flooding in. GG. We have a series, folks.
Easy win there for Rogue. I mean, look, Rogue played well, but Classic played poorly. You cannot throw those Oracles away. They are extremely delicate, and their scouting potential is as important as their defending potential. And he just didn't have the defenses, so Lings kill you. In case you didn't know, you've been watching a lot of StarCraft, and you've always wondered, why do they make Oracles? It only kills a couple of workers, and they don't seem to scout that much, because it also stops you from dying to Lings.
Yeah, just having that tool out of the belt for Classic. It can be a game changer. Rogue absolutely made him pay with that mounting pressure.
Okay, game 4, let's do this. Right now, Classic up 2-1. Classic had 2 of the most impressive wins ever, and then maybe one of the most embarrassing losses I've seen in a GSL Finals.
Yeah.
Just dropping Oracles, and therefore, you know, Rogue just makes ground units and kills them.
It's just one of those situations where one small mistake turns into a waterfall, an avalanche.
Yeah, a snowballing effect. It's brutal.
You lose the first Oracle, you're like, okay, I need to make up for it with the second one.
Yeah.
The second one overextends. It also gets taken down. But for Classic, just wipe that map off your mind. 2-1 right now in Classic's favor. We're moving on to map number 4. It is Pylon. Can a Rogue continue the comeback, or will Classic bring us to match point?
Okay, Rogue in the top left, Classic in the bottom right. And it's going to be another fast expand opening here from Classic. This time the probe going to come across. Now, we've had a couple games where the hatch gets blocked, a couple games where the hatch doesn't. This game, the drone will not even be able to get there in time at all.
And Classic sending that probe out real quick. Just going to force and confirm that Rogue sends that hatchery down to the third base. And I wonder what that game would have looked like. Game number 3 had those Oracles not go down, because I am, you know, typically in a PVZ 2026 GSL coming home. We all hope so.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I would just love to see another long game with these two.
Yeah, me too. But
without,
you know, it's
without the bumpiness.
It's interesting because I feel like in the typical PVZ, usually the cast, not just because I'm a Protoss player, but because usually they're the ones who are throwing the haymaker punches.
Right.
I'm keen in on what the Protoss is going to do from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. But Classic, all the way through up until this point, it has kind of been the same standard play. We've had a couple of small deviations in terms of opening, but very few. It's really Rogue who is trying to mix things up and throw Classic off of his game. And I feel like what Rogue did in map number 3, it's not really something that you can repeat. It's a way of punishing Classic for the mistakes that he made. It's not a strategy that you open up with to try and dictate the game. And in some ways, I think for Rogue, given his playstyle that he's showcased in ZVP so far today, I think that is a real boon. Not just because obviously it's a map win, and a map win in any series is just naturally going to be fantastic, but the fact that he didn't really need to show any additional plays.
Yeah, you know, I would have thought, and maybe we'll see something in game 4, but I would have thought there would have been, you know, kind of a curveball build order in one of these games, right? Where we would have tried, but in fact, I mean, I can almost ensure everybody that it's going to be another Oracle again and a third base. And, you know, there is something about the confidence of a player where he's like, I don't care if you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it very well. And you can try to play around it. You can try to punish me. You can try to surprise me. You can try to go head-to-head with me in a macro game. I don't care, because I know from A all the way to Z, if the game gets to that last letter, I know what the game's supposed to look like. I know what I'm supposed to do. So I just need to focus on myself in that regard while keeping an eye on you.
Classic coming into this even said that he had prepared mostly for a PvP finals. He was expecting to face Hero should he have advanced all the way here to the grand finals. And so it makes sense that, you know, you're going up against Rogue, a situation you might have not necessarily expected. You're going to play your safe game. You're going to play your standard game, what you know, as you said, from A to Z. You're not going to try and mix it up. You're not going to go experimental here unless the situation absolutely calls for it, where you see an opening. And so far, it's worked really well for Classic. 2-1 now here in this best of 7.
Still waiting to see if that third base is going to be thrown down here, like always for Classic. But I mean, right now, again, you know, the build orders have been, in a lot of ways, interchangeable about, and as far as how he's handled each of these. Yeah, no way he's going to deny that Nexus and Pylon.
It's been a 2-gate Oracle third base basically every single game. This time, actually able to find a base without a Spore Crawler. That Spore Crawler really does a ton of damage in the current iteration of the of StarCraft 2, so those Oracles have to watch out. 2 Queens, you can let them tickle your hull damage a little bit and just trade that out for those 2 drones. We'll see if he goes back in again. I can see the Oracles, they're grouping up here on the top right. Spore Crawler, I think, not yet done here in the third base. About 3/4 of the way there. 2 Oracles will be able to one-shot these drones. Queen's a little bit out of position. Might have a couple more drones going down. Tasteless 4. 5, can we get 6? No, Classic, he's playing nice and safe. And coming in here, if he wanted to, he might have been able to take on that Spore. Instead, he's going to escort these Adepts all the way into the main base.
Great movement here. So he's going to get this all out. And yeah, back at home, Forge about to finish here with the Twilight Council. Probably Blink being upgraded unless there's some other kind of Adept Glaive move that we wanted to see. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Zerg is just continuing to grow, to pave the map with creep. As we're not really into the point in the game here where there is going to be, you know, a ton of meaningful interactions other than, you know, worker snipes.
I think it's almost...
It's all about the build-up here. We do have the melee attack again over here. Now, I don't know if this means we're going to have Ultralisks in that Crackling upgrade later on, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, the melee attack has just been a tried and true part of Rogue's ZVP for the past couple of months. As from Classic, I think we are going to expect about the same. These things actually coming in here, able to get a couple of rope kills. This is really good here for Classic, or for Rogue, excuse me. 3 workers for just a handful of lings. You take that trade, but with all these Adepts now coming into the natural expansion, how many drones will go down as Classic is getting some counter damage in on his own? Seems like 3, maybe 4 if these Adepts focus fire. Actually gonna get 5.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Classic maintaining an 8-worker lead as he's going up to 6-gate Storm. Now, what is the tech of choice going to be for Rogue? Are we going to see an Infestation Pit for Hive and Ultras like we did in game number 1? Or will he go into something like a Baneling Nest and a Hydralisk Den and play a very lair-heavy style of ZVP? It's going to be the Hydras.
Yeah, he's got that Hydralisk desk, the Hydralisk Den coming down now. It's like a little Hydra school desk. Oh, he runs in.
These are soon to be +1 lings as well. Those probes are being in a lot of trouble. Oh, a Templar gets sniped in the natural expansion. Stalkers get surrounded here in the main base. Oh man, the probe's getting pulled. This is gonna be a lot of worker damage getting done, at least in the terms of lost mining time. More probes going to be falling here. 3, 4, 5, and counting. Nice microphone Classic is going to mitigate the damage, but a Templar going down. One of the first Templar. 2 Stalkers, 5 probes for those lings. We're gonna be really happy with that exchange.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really fortunate moment. When the front door's open, you got to run in. And, you know, the fact that he sniped the Templar, if he goes, in fact, into Hydras and tries to go for damage with, you know, Lings and Banes, like I think he is, well then, you know, every storm that you don't have is a moment where you're less safe. You know, a lot of these, like, high damage, you know, pushes from Zerg, it just comes down to having a couple storms to where they don't have enough sustain to really dish it out.
Yeah, Hydraling Bane is a very glass cannon unit composition. When it comes down to the engagement, a lot of it is positioning. How much of a concave can you get? And more importantly, often, how well can you dodge those storms with your Lings, with your Hydras? It's a really aggressive style, and I think Classic is almost anticipating this. Oftentimes, when you see Protoss players take their 4th base in a situation like this one, they will start thinking about adding in that 2nd Stargate, going for that Fleet Beacon, because most of ZVP leads to lurkers in the late game. That is not the game that Rogue is playing. He is staying on hit lair tech. He is getting his range attack upgrades. He is getting Baneling speed. He's cutting drones at 78, and he is gearing up for an attack here against Classic. And Classic, he's not overteching.
Right.
He is bracing for impact. He's adding in shield batteries, cannons, getting charge in +2. He's adding in additional gateways.
Now, if he gets onto 4 bases and he can sustain, I think he's going to be okay. Like he did fine the last time. But, you know, Zerg is getting a lot right now.
And this will be a powerful push, but Classic is just matching him in terms of unit production.
Yeah, he's going to get that Warp Prism out next. So if he can hold this, he could even do a counter push, or he could do like a Zealot Warp in or something like that.
A counter
into their
push.
base. This is actually him. He's going to attack in. I kind of thought this was going to be the other way around. I think he sees the Banes and realizes he's got to get back.
He sees the Banes and realizes this is probably Hydra Ling Bane with the composition that he's spotting on that 4th base, and that means that
don't be in the middle of the map versus that.
Rogue is looking for a fight. You do not want to be the one attacking into him. And actually a second Robo coming in from Classic. Are we going to have a Colossus switch coming in? Is he really going to try and hone in on countering Lair Tech Zerg?
I think
so
the Colossus
curious.
would be a good call. The Lings are going to come by here. The Protoss actually tries to kind of wall this off with the Warp. Banes are going to come down here. Can they actually connect with these probes?
I think they can. Lots of probes going down here in this 4th base as Classic is hunting on the map, trying to get some damage of his own over here on the left side, attacking the 9 o'clock position. More Banelings, more Lings morphing in. Rogue has only made a small number of drones over the past couple of minutes. It's been mostly army. These storms are going to try and zone away everything. Really good connection on those Zerglings, cleaning them all up, keeping the Templars safe. Classic, although he lost a dozen workers, he's able to rebuild those very quickly, actually going into Immortals. So it's not going to be Robo Bay. It's shields coming up, +3 ground weapons and Immortals.
I don't know, man. This is a lot from the Zerg here. I don't think this base could stay, and I don't think the other bases will last too much longer either.
Classic's army's all the way down at the 3rd base.
Yeah, it's just in a completely useless location. It's going to be a massacre on those workers. I don't even know if Rogue's going to focus them down as much. He just wants to wipe this position. Protoss now on 3 bases. Again, if Rogue wins this, he's going to tie this up 2-2, making the comeback look extremely easy.
Oh, it's a very hard angle to push in, though, with Hydra Ling Bane. Although with Classic retreating, the Concave it might go into advantage of the Zerg right now. The Baneling's rolling in. The Storm is connecting with him, but the Baneling's still getting some pretty good shots right here. On these Stalkers, the Templar, they're trying to escape. One of them goes down to 1 hero Baneling. The Immortals are falling. Classic was not prepared for this push that took down the 4th base that is now taking down the natural expansion. The 3rd base, I think Rogue is tying this one up. GG, let's go to game number 4.
Damn, man. Like, you know, seeing Banelings connect all the way to the back of the Protoss' army and hit Templars is so funny. We're tied up 2-2. That leaves us with 2 to 3 more games left over here for this finals. Not going to be one-sided, despite how strong Classic looked in those first 2 games, because Rogue made his last 2 wins look easy. The question is going to be, can Classic adjust? He has played in the same kind of style. It's very macro-oriented. It's very much about getting a 3rd and then eventually getting a 4th, getting the tech, seeing if you can move out on the map and do a little bit of damage, but basically run back and having this kind of endgame push. And I gotta say, I think the adjustments that we saw from Rogue are all correct. You know, and this is the thing. This is the ebb and flow of a best of 7. And this is the fundamental problem, by the way, if you're doing what Classic's doing, which is the same thing. It's the same formula. I mean, Rogue is just gonna mix up his play styles and try different combos, different openings, and see what works. Guys, short break. We'll be right back with set number 5.
In my locker, gonna get a touchdown. Make a play, make it rain, get the win, celebrate. At the end of the day, we're the best. Anyway,
나는 편집하지 않아. 그게 진짜 나니까. 새로운 도전과 색다른 재미, 함께하는 즐거움까지. 여기 숲에서 끝없이 스트리밍 중. 라이브 스트리밍을 넘어 라이프 스트리밍이 되다. 숲.
We're back, everybody. Rogan Classic is now tied up 2-2. So Classic had some of the most god-tier wins in those first two games. I thought he was going to 4-0 it, honestly. Rogue came back, made all the right adjustments, and Classic was singing the same song and doing the same dance. And, you know, generally, and it's more true in a best of 7, but it's still true in a best of 5, and it's oftentimes true in a best of 3, but you have to have a variety of openers and play styles in order to win. Very rarely do you see somebody recycle the same safe opening and come out victorious, right? I mean, one thing about Rogue that's been very clear, he's willing to do anything in these games. And so, although Classic knew from A to Z how to play these builds out, how to kind of open up, defend, parry, push, come back, stop the counterattack, and eventually close it out with a win, Rogue is still making improvements. And I'm starting to think here, if Classic keeps doing the same moves, we're going to start to see more of the same results here from Rogue, in that he will win.
That might be the case. All tied up now, 2-2. Rogue fighting back in Game 3 and Game 4. It's time to go on to map number 5. Is Rogue going to continue this hot streak, or will Classic fight back?
Okay, Rogue here in the bottom left, Classic in the top right.
No probe scout early.
Yeah, he sent it back. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a totally different game here, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm very, very interested in how Classic's approach is going to be with this. And keep in mind, you know, he may be doing the same stuff, but Rogue also opens up, you know, with some kind of crazy Roach Ravager timing, or, you know, something like that, where the game, again, becomes less about whatever Classic has planned later on and more about, can he deal with the here and the now.
I don't mind Classic going for the same build all that much in this situation, because it feels like the loss in the previous map to that Ling Hydra Bane push, it felt like it was a misread on his part. My initial tell was when he opted not to go for the second Stargate in the Fleet Peak, and I was thinking that, oh, okay, he understands the situation. He knows it's not time to tech up. He's adding in additional production buildings. He's getting a robo. He's getting a little bit of static defense. But the more that I think about it, so I did some thinking during the break, the more it seemed like Classic was gearing up for some kind of hive tech ground play from Rogue. He wanted to win the battle on the ground, whether that be Ultras like it was in game number 1, hence the double Robo Immortal, or maybe Classic just trying to find a way to deal with hive tech lurkers on the ground with the Immortals and all the extra units that he's got. Instead of, ooh. Yikes, he meant to double up one probe, but he double clicked it.
Yeah.
In any case,
it's not the end of the world, but it does slow down your income overall.
It's like 40 or 50 minerals, I think.
Yeah, so it definitely hurts. It definitely makes everything come out a little bit later.
In any case, I feel like Classic could do the same thing, but you need to be really on top of your scouting against a Zerg opponent like Rogue, who's willing to do anything. You got to identify, all right, this is Hydraling Bane. All right, there is no hive tech coming in. The only avenue this game can go until that hive tech comes in is that he's going to attack me. and Classic, given the Immortal production, given him being a little bit out of position and actually testing the waters very bravely on a Rogue side of the map, it felt like he didn't have the complete picture in terms of information. And so I'm expecting here in game number 5, now that we've reset, now that we had a 10-minute break and he's able to decompress and evaluate the way these last 2 games have not gone in his favor, I'm expecting if we do have adjustments, it's probably not going to be in the bones of the build, the very early development in terms of getting a third base set up, adding in the Oracles, going for the second gateway, and then 6th gate in the Storm. I think it's more how you transition out of that into the rest of the game.
So you feel like some of the mistakes are made kind of in the final steps?
I think it's trying to read. It's classic with this style. I feel like you need a better read on what your opponent's going to throw at you, because if it's a layer tech all-in, or something close to an all-in like that Hydraling Bane.
Versus like Ultralisk.
Yeah, you need to know. You must know.
But there is this style that we see with Zergs when they get to like end game, where they'll like make this and force you to make that, but then as they attack into you, they counter switch the tech into something else. And I've seen it even to like 3 major tech switches, where eventually the Protoss just like doesn't have the right combination of units and gets punished.
But in that game, there wasn't even Hive.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm quite sure.
That's true.
If there was, it came in very late. It came in while the attack was commencing. In any case, it's only really Classic who's gonna know what to do. By the way, is that Oracle got maybe a maximum of 1 drone. Rogue, by the way, I want to sing his praises. His Oracle defense these past couple of games has been so immaculate. We've had so many Oracles go down, and oftentimes for very little drones. And Rogue is also walking a fine line, where a lot of his expansions, he will skip 1 or 2 Spore Crawlers, whether it be like in the natural or the third base. And so the fact that he's been able to deflect this Oracle harass as well as he has, it's been a really impressive string of games from him in that perspective.
Yeah, no, he's definitely stepped that up from some pretty painful losses early on in some of the other games here. So he's got the dual Oracles, and it's going to be about whether or not you can find a drone or anything to kill. You got to be very careful to not overextend with this either, dropping those. I mean, we cannot forget about game 3 where Oracles were just lost, and then it was, you know, Ling Banes that countered and hit in there. Roach Warren is coming along with the Baneling's Nest. On the Protoss side of things, we're just seeing more droning up. The standard +1 attack upgrade. Very Rogue-esque. And you can see the conservative behavior here with the Oracles. It's more about trying to kill creep tumors. And then I love the little counter attack here with the Lings. Is there an Oracle here? No. Can I go inside of your base?
Yeah, and Classic is just going back to his tried and true 6-gate Storm with blinking +1.
We've got 14 Lings coming here.
Big surround on those Oracles. It's a lot of hull damage.
Yeah. Now he's still making Lings, which feels like he has to attack if he's going to make this many.
I don't think we have Overlord's speed. So
that's what I was wondering. I was going to say, can he pick up an Overlord and just...
Banelings?
Yeah, so he's going to go for this. Okay, but the Oracles are here.
Yeah, this is a little bit different than previously. And I feel like these Lings should be sending alarm bells in the base of Classic right now. Oh my goodness. No. All right, he sees it, but does he really see it? Okay, reaction now coming in. Stalker is getting warped in a position to block these Banelings from reaching the mineral line. Archon's morphing as well. Probe's already being sent back home. I love this from Classic. Much better defense here in this game. The Archons, once they morph in, one of them will get surrounded by Lings, but the other one behind that Stalker can do big splash damage. Oracle's coming back, energy recharge coming back. More Lings being produced by Rogue, but I don't think he's going to have enough to kill this Nexus. Yes, he did take down a lot of critical army units. He's going for Tasis. Is he actually going to get this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to go back. I will say that's not too bad there for Classic. 10 workers go down, but that was a very heavy commitment from Rogue.
Yeah. You know, he didn't quite get the job done. I mean, 10 workers is nice, but you're right in the sense that Classic is not, you know, crippled. And he kept the third base there. He's throwing Archons down. Now, there's more Lings out, but, you know, Archons make quick work of that. The Oracles, of course, are going to be handy there as well. He's going to try to come through here. I don't see any Banes with this, by the way. So, yeah, what's he going to do exactly? He kills the Overlords over there.
Yeah, just trying to find an angle.
So I guess he's going to try to switch into another push up here with Hydraling Bane. You know, keep in mind that I guess if you're morphing Archons, you're not going to have the Templars. You need some level of splash to do this. Maybe an overconfident move here from Classic to take a 4th.
I like it. After your economy got reset a little bit like that, you lost 10 workers, you know that you've stabilized against the mass Ling tech with the Archons and the Storm. So just take the 4th base. There isn't an immediate threat. The threat that's coming is down the pipeline 1 or 2 minutes. It's going to be those Hydras that you got to worry about. By then, the 4th base ideally would have paid for itself at least a little bit.
Lings are going to counterattack over here. This is not going to get through. The question's going to be, you know, how much damage can the Hydras do? This is an extremely low HP Oracle, by the way. So they're not going to be able to help at all when the Hydra push actually comes. Missile attack's almost done.
Baneling speed also finishing up. No more drones in production, and Classic seems like he's getting more ready than he was last time. A lot of additional static defense coming in, even here in the natural expansion. 4 cannons plus shield batteries getting warped in.
Yeah, the 3rd may be still the most vulnerable spot. Lings are going to come over here and force a warp in there. I think Protoss might be fine.
I feel like he's properly equipped.
Yeah, it's also, it's not a very open area. Like, it's pretty hard to punish Protoss if there's, like, you know, between 2 to 3 storms kind of blanket the whole area you're attacking in. Hydras aren't the kind of units that can kind of like run through storms either. And so, look, Zerg's on 5 bases. That's always good. I think there's about to be a 6th here. I think I see a drone on the mini-map. But, like, you know, I don't from all we've seen from Classic, he needs to just stay on 4 bases for a long time, maybe get up to 5 before he pushes. So I don't think the Zerg has a kind of overwhelming econ position here.
Yeah, Classic once again going into the 2nd robotics facility, but there still is no lair tech here for Rogue. I'm not sure whether Classic has scouted that, but his army feels fully capable of taking this on should he get a good engagement. There's a lot of splash damage here, and Rogue is very heavily reliant on the Lings and the Banelings getting the job done. This isn't the best angle to attack into. Ooh, that blink forward, I actually kind of like it. It baited the Lings for a moment. They took a lot of damage from those storms.
And Rogue is planning on just obliterating this.
We have to have Hive coming in, right?
I actually didn't look, but
no Hive yet.
Yeah, he's locked in right now to layer. But you know, this is not the kind of late game Rogue that has the sophistication of like the ultra crackling, you know, dropping the main kind of tech that we saw before. He's going to come in again, and I got to say the storms are pretty good. The Ling damage is insane. He blinks back. He's going to let the cannons tank some of these shots. But is there enough behind all this?
I mean, Classic behind this, he's adding a 2nd Stargate. He's getting a fleet beacon. That's a lot of resources not invested in the defense. So it's a nail biter here on the front lines. But it seems like he had just enough in terms of photon cannons, shield batteries, storms to micro back. And Rogue is sitting still on lair tech. It is 82 drones, so his economy is through the roof, especially on all these 5 bases. But at the same time, Classic was able to very successfully deflect that attack. A lot of these Lings died, but 35 more Banelings getting morphed in. Rogue, there is no transition. Melee attack level 2 is going to finish, and he's just going to recharge and go in once again. Classic, he's adding in the static defense. It might not be done by the time this attack starts, though.
Yeah, I mean, the idea here is to dump all the resources into damage to end the game right now. He's going to move in. The first storms come down and deny a decent number of Banelings. The angle here is tight. It's hard for an overwhelming army like this to fit through this small corridor, but that's exactly what he's going to try to do. So he's rationing some of the Banelings, sending them forward while keeping others in the back. The Protoss just retreats and further recedes inside of a defensive position back there.
And now he's got to try and deal with these Zealots warping in the main base back at home. It's such a hard angle to attack into here on ley lines. This 12 o'clock position, it is a tough choke point. The storms are getting so much value. Finally, now these Zealots are getting cleaned up. They got some fair damage done, and they scouted the Hive timing. Classic knows that he is quite far ahead in terms of tech. Behind all of this, he has a 2nd Stargate and a fleet beacon. Rogue is going to have to transition into something Hive tech related. There's just no way to break down this position. And look at this. He's actually banking the Immortals. He is not showing it.
Yeah,
he wants Rogue to go back into Ultralisks.
Yep.
And then Classic will show his hand.
Exactly. So he's preempting Ultralisks. I feel like we don't see this from Protoss a lot. I feel like we see it more from Zergs. But the idea is eventually he's just not going to get into that 4th base and go, well, I guess we'll expand some more and start that layer tech. or Hive Tech, excuse me.
Well, now when he has 6, 7, 8 Immortals, he's finally revealing them. But I believe to Rogue, this is going to come as a surprise. Up until this point, you have seen no Immortals. Your opponent's been defending with Archon, Stalkers, Storm, and Static Defense. By the way, look at this minefield of Stasis Traps, Photon Cannons.
It's just hard for melee damage to get in there, you know?
It's such a tough
You
job.
try to shove in, and a lot of it's going to get stunned.
It's a position where Lurkers would do a lot better, but with Hydraling Bane, it's just tough to attack into. By the way, Rogue, keep in mind, looking at the minimap, there is a large army for Rogue that's going to try and take down the 5th base of Classic.
And he's happy to give up the shields on that Nexus back there. Now, this is going to be denied, so a quick, swift victory there for Rogue. But, you know, Classic is still assembling all the building blocks he needs for a possible push. I do think that Zerg is going to have, it's going to be very hard to deal with the Zerg's countering.
Yeah, the counterattack threat is real. I mean, we have 130 Lings, soon to have Adrenal Glands right now for Rogue. Classic's army, it's not very mobile, and also Rogue has done a very good job of fanning his bases across the map. But will he go for the counterattack, or will he just try to get a full surround? I feel like Rogue, even though his army isn't quite as refined as Classic's is, to say the least, I mean, that's 7 Archons, 8 Immortals, 3 more Archons morphing in, and a Mothership.
Yeah, I mean,
plus all this Storm. This is an army designed to kill Ling Baneling. Rogue only has 15 Hydras. The rest of it is Ling Baneling.
It is literally just these tier 1 units. And, you know, this is where the Death Ball comes out. This is the Wrecking Ball that he's going to try to move around the map with and start to take out base after base after base.
And Rogue is going to have to try and find some kind of surround or go for the counter. It looks like he's going to offer the surround. There are Stasis Traps here on the flank. That is so many Archons. The first Stasis Trap getting a full AoE of Zealots. Time Warp. Storms coming in. The Archon shots are massive. Rogue is retreating. The second wave of Banelings also got caught there by the Stasis. Now finally attacking in. Oh, good connections on the Templar. About 3 Storms left here for Classic. He's migrating back the Immortals. A lot of the splash damage has been cleaned up. But Rogue, it's a very larva-intensive style. I think he also, he's supply blocked.
Oh.
So many Overlords have fallen. I was wondering what the hesitation was on the Remax. There is no hesitation. He just doesn't have the supply. He has to make do with what he's got right now. The Mothership is going to go down. Honestly, a pretty reasonable trade here for Rogue, given the way that these armies clashed. But he has to make a lot of Overlords, and Classic has a big mineral bank back at home.
He still doesn't have those Overlords up yet, and the army sophistication is just not really there here for Rogue. That being said, Rogue has a lot of resources pouring in here. It could be possibly simply makes Ling Hydra Bane and tries to punch in once again. It would just come down to whether or not the Psy Storms and other damage could hit the Hydras in time, and whether or not the Banelings would connect. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Zerg is certainly smaller than before.
But so is Protoss. Only 3 Archons now, only 6 Immortals. I say only, but it was a lot more just a moment ago. As Rogue once again coming in, this is a much better concave to attack into. Static defense is going to fall there on the front line. Rogue microing away from these Storms, and as soon as the front line of Lings falls, she's going to retreat. Classic is able to establish this foothold in the center of the map, and that's going to give him the confidence to take another expansion here in the center.
So, I mean, the game kind of slows down here, doesn't it? We have another Mothership on the way. The final upgrades are being, you know, the boxes are being ticked here for Classic, who's basically, you know, reached into the full range of what Protoss can have and do right now. Meanwhile, Rogue kind of lurks in this tech range. He's going to get more Banelings. He's going to try again. Remember, the Protoss doesn't have a lot of bases, and some of the ones that the Protoss has been sitting on are going to mine out. So, you know, these exterior bases become a lot more important. Now, the bigger Protoss gets, the harder it is for Zerg to take these other bases that are much more on the periphery of their position. But this is turning into an extremely interesting late game.
Yeah, the way that Rogue is playing this with a relentless Hydraling Baneling aggression reminds me a little bit of ZBT from a couple years ago, where Terran tried to get their 4th and 5th base. Zerg would hit 90 drones and just keep barreling armies at them, trying to break them, and that usually decided who won and who lost. Rogue is going for a similar approach here against a Classic, who is also just trying to hunker down right now on these bases in his quadrant of the map. The problem is for Rogue, it's only 71 drones. He doesn't have the economy to throw armies and take inefficient trades. But the composition that he's running is pure Lair Tech. It's Ling, Bailing, Hydra. Even though we have the Hive, we only have a couple of Hive upgrades coming in. We have Adrenal. I believe we have Lunge also on those Hydras, but besides that, there are no Vipers adding into the mix. We have no Hive Tech units coming in.
Oh, this is a pretty crazy angle to attack out in. He can basically hit these units and either drive them in or force them away. And the angle, you basically want to fight in kind of this narrow valley with what you've got.
It's just the perfect position to stabilize with Tempest, because they're going to chip away at absolutely everything, and Rogue has to attack into basically 2 choke points, one here at the south and one to the northwest. It seems like he's actually concentrating all of his forces here in the south. Rogue would love Classic to get over Rieger and start moving in. That's not happening. Classic is playing this very patiently. He is buying his time. And this drop in the main base of Rogue so far being unanswered. Spawning pool potentially could go down.
He's going to move in. Here we go.
Rogue finally getting this around that he wants, but the Time Warp and the Storm on the Bailings on the right side just evaporates that army. GG is called.
I gotta say, man, and you know, I thought he had to do something different. He just played even more perfectly and kind of navigated out onto the map, had the perfect engage, and shut down an obsolete Rogue who had been on Lair Tech for the entire time.
The Lair Tech just really dropping off there. Rogue is trying to play an explosive, aggressive brand of CVP against the master of defensive PvZ play. And Rogue, it feels like in these games, he's getting so close to breaking Classic, but Classic is just barely holding on. By a thread, Classic is holding on.
He just gets that. It's like when the Tempests come out, he's eventually on the 5th base. He's got the Archons. He's already survived a couple of attacks, and he's basically just shutting Rogue down. He's playing the most patient PvZ I may have ever seen, realizing that all Rogue has to do is overstep once, and he's too far out of range of ever winning the game. Is Rogue going to stay on that Lair Tech? Does he go back to the tech we saw in Game 1, where he goes for the Ultras, but, you know, in fact, died in the same fashion with an endgame push? In Classic, maybe I was wrong, guys. Maybe he doesn't have to change anything. He should just keep doing the same moves, keep casting the same spells, keep trying the same tricks. We're going to find out. Game 6 is here. Okay, Rogue in the top right, Classic in the bottom left. And yeah, I mean, let's just assume that it's going to be that Oracle tech again to 3rd base. There's a very decorated Rogue, 4 pins over there, looking like he's a general of a Banana Republic. Could get a 5th pin here tonight. We'll see if he wins.
Would only be the 2nd ever G5L.
Yeah, that's true.
Classic looking for his first GSL trophy in so many years. I believe more than a decade since he had a victory over Sioux 4-2.
Yeah. And I mean, he's looking very good, very strong. Maybe 1 win away here.
Yeah, victory here might be some real catharsis for a Classic who, in his interview earlier, in a letter that he would write to his self 10 years ago, he's like, yeah, you know, you feel like you're on top of the world right now. You don't reach that again. Well, now he is. He's 1 map win away from once again becoming a GSL Code S champion.
Yeah. He used to have to reshoot that message to himself.
It's like, actually, relax. You are going to win.
Just keep doing the Oracle build. Try not to lose the Oracles. You'll be fine.
I don't expect him to really mix things up. You know, the style that Classic is going for up until 3 bases, just the standard 6-skate Link, +1 and Storm on 3 bases as you look to take a 4th, and then you adapt to what the Zerg is doing, is such a safe and standard way of playing the game. Now, it does have the disadvantage in that, because of its predictability, you very rarely can get any early game advantage. The opponent knows the Oracle is going to be coming in. They're coming in the exact same timing all the time. If there are adept harassment options for you, it's usually a very low commitment. The potential of getting damage done is maybe 3, 4, 5 drones at most when paired with an Oracle if the defense gets bungled. And so Classic is basically resigning himself to play a safe game in a game where he's not necessarily ahead, but a game that he is confident enough that he knows how to navigate it. And actually, I say that, Tasteless, the first time in this series we were having a serious deviation. It is robotics facility on 2 bases.
So this is going to be the curveball. This is the moment, and we'll see what kind of build it is. I'll let the Robo Tech start. It's so close to being done. But yeah, this is going to be the curveball.
This has the potential to really blindside Rogue too.
5 games in a row. 5 games in a row. It's been effectively the same thing. This is the one where it's going to be a Warp Prism, so he's going to come out pretty fast. And remember, you know, with the way that he's played so far, you know, Rogue really couldn't be attacked earlier.
Yeah. Rogue has no idea this is coming. We have 1 sentry for Classic. Rogue, until this point, has, I don't even think he's made a Ravager in this series, or if he has, very few. He's opening with Lings.
Yeah,
he has nothing to break force fields. He's making very late Roach Warrens.
Yeah.
If Classic, he energy recharged the sentry. This might be a 1 sentry drop in the main base that can force field the ramp.
It's going to be all the way back to the first year of StarCraft 2.
He's hallucinating the Oracle. He is
Oh
selling
my
this
God.
so hard. Immortals are in production.
Oh.
Are we going to have a drop in the main base, or are we going to have a full-fledged Immortal push? In any case, this is a throwback.
Yeah.
But Rogue is seeing no third base. Yes, you have an Oracle, or so Rogue thinks, but where is the third? He's selling it.
He's selling it. He's like, look at me.
He
I'm taking
wants-
the third base. Look at me.
He's building the Nexus.
I can't wait to expand and find the resources.
Now you got to be really careful with that Oracle. Make sure that the hallucination ends when it's out of view from
Yeah,
Rogue.
yeah.
Oh, Roach Warren being made here. If we have Roaches from Rogue, if there is Sentry and an Immortal, out of vision. You know, with that hallucinated Oracle, he was able to spot where the Overlords are, but the Ling barely glimpses this. Okay, it's going to be a Warped over here. He is not going for the main base ramp. Instead, he is going straight into the heart of the beast. He's going to try and attack into the front door.
I just see drones, so I don't know that he saw that or not. He cancels a Nexus. Obviously, it was always a fake.
This is only 1 gas from Classic. There are going to be
What?
so many Zealots warped in here. A huge deviation from the earlier builds. I feel like Rogue might have not noticed entirely until this moment.
Yeah, I think he didn't.
That's a lot of Queens, though, Tasteless. 6 Queens already brought to the front line.
The Sentry in the back hitting the Overlord. He might need that up here in the front.
10 Roaches, 10 Lings about to pop. All right, the Lings in for a fight here against all of these Zealots. The Spore Crawler is actually doing a really good job of zoning away the Warp Prism. It cancels the Warp in. Classic has to pull back. You do not want to dedicate your army to trying to kill Spore Crawlers in a moment like this. Brilliant move by Rogue to slow down the Warp ins, buy himself some much needed time. There is only 1 Immortal and a flood of
he's taking
Zealots.
damage to the Warp Prism.
Oh, the Warp Prism goes down.
I can't believe it. And it seems like, oh man, the push is still doing a lot of damage, but you need to have the reload of the Zealots to continue to come in here. Now the Immortal in the back is still doing damage, but there's no spare pylon or anything like that, no spare Warp Prism coming in. The last Immortal is surrounded, and it is actually killed off.
Yeah, the recall not able to come through. Classic behind this. He has 1 Vespian Geyser. It is Roaches getting pumped right now for Rogue. Rogue, he has the confidence to start droning up. Classic can basically only make Zealots at this point.
Yeah, he has to just try to force it anyways. I just don't know that it's going to work.
The only possible way is if Rogue somehow over drones. It does not see this coming, which, hey, a follow-up attack like this would be crazy, but guess what? Rogue, he is spotting it. He sees all these Zealots. He knows. All he has to do right now is defend.
I mean, this is an extremely crazy situation, but I believe Classic should probably just fail out from here. He's in his right to try. You know, he's fighting for his tournament life right now. But yeah, I mean, I just don't know if there's going to be enough. You're eventually going to have enough Roaches. You don't care about Zealots anymore. He's going to try to come inside the main.
Right, it's a lot of Zealots coming into the third base of Rogue. Roaches kiting back. Classic is trying to make it harder for him by dropping in the main base, but the Queen's able to shoo away that Warp Prism. The Zealots get cleaned up. We have another Warped coming in, but that's it. We're going to game number 7.
Oh my God, what a finals this has been. The curveball pitch, build order gets shot down. Not due to good intel from Rogue, but due to great control and basically shoving underneath the Warp Prism with the Spore Crawler, trying to gun it down. And then something happened there in the middle of the fight. The Warp Prism was like it was like moving in with everything else, and it just got shot down. So we're going to be going to the final game here for the night. Final GSL before the Esports World Cup comes on. And we're going to figure out if it's a Zerg or a Protoss champion here. So we're tied up 3-3.
It's been an incredible series so far.
Yeah.
Classic plays the same build 5 games in a row and then sells it so hard with the same build in game number 6. Rogue somehow still able to defend. I swear, if he didn't micro those Spore Crawlers to shoo away the Warp Prism and then snipe it with a Queen, he doesn't win. But instead, we're going to a game number 7. Classic whipped out one of the most infamous PvZ builds on the Korean server. We call this one the Farmy. It is. There's one Protoss player who's been destroying Zergs on the ladder with this for years. Classic tried to use it to seal a GSL victory. He wasn't able to get it, and now Rogue has tied everything up. We're going to one final map to settle the score. Who will be your GSL Season 2 Kodas champion, Rogue or Classic? We're about to find out. The final map is loading in. Let's go!
This is it. Rogue in the top left and Classic in the bottom right. And I love what Classic did back there. I think strategically it was very sound. And you kind of think with a guy that can execute a much more complex build in the other games, it's really kind of tragic to see him bungle the all-in. I don't know why the Warp Prism was near the Queens after the Spore Crawler died.
Would have to see the replay.
I don't know if he had grabbed the Zealots in the back and clicked it in there, and then that was because it's probably better to just keep it back. I mean, the number one way Protoss lose in all-ins like that is the Warp Prism's kill. That's that's the origin of the entire rush. When you kill that, then the rest of the game's easy. So, you know, someone like Rogue's going to have a lot of practice with fighting stuff like that.
I don't think I've ever seen the Farmy thwarted by Spore Crawler movement.
Yeah, it's interesting. You just sort of run right up underneath it.
Because they don't want to pull the Zealots back, and they only have one Immortal to kill the Spore Crawlers while Roaches, Queens, and Lings are attacking away at them. It was such a brilliant move by Rogue in the heat of the moment. If he hadn't advanced those Spore Crawlers, effectively sacrificed them to delay the warp in by maybe 15 seconds, I feel like Classic right now is the GSL champion.
Yeah.
That one move, I feel like above everything else.
It's interesting because it didn't occur to me either. Like in my head, I'm thinking of rushes where I see Adepts. But you're right, the Zealots can't go run and chase the Spore.
It's so awkward.
The Zealots have to be in the front, and that's how they're supposed to overpower that position. But yeah, the Spore kind of like ignores it. And it looks almost like it's, oh, like your micro is so good, but really it's like, oh, I just know this interaction. I know what I'm trying to do here. And when I see this specific rush, it's just to run my, like basically kamikaze my Spore under there. Even if you don't kill the Warp Prism, you force the cancel warp in, which is buying a lot of time.
Yeah, bought him a ton of time.
And in that case, in the end, it has damage enough. You just killed it. So we've got a Stargate here. So I assume we're going to go back into the Oracle play.
I think so.
For some of our last cast in the last game, we kind of assumed it was Oracle play 2 before we realized it was a Robo, but this time it definitely is a Stargate. So let's see if it's going to be the same formula at play here. And don't forget, he won the last time he'd used this formula, just going into super late game.
I feel like the times where Classic hasn't been blindsided, he's been winning more often than he's been losing with this. As long as the early game isn't downright tragic, it feels like Classic is a very, very difficult opponent to break through that mid and late game. No matter how hard Rogue tries. I mean, that was, thinking back to game number 5, one of the strongest layer all-ins I think I have seen. Classic just knows where he can expand, where he can fight. He knows exactly how to thread the needle between greed in terms of economy, in terms of tech, and in terms of having just enough to be able to stop multiple maxed armies of Ling, Hydra, Baneling just raining down on him.
Okay. Oh, he actually finished it.
Yeah. Only gonna get. Oh, he gets the third. I think
Yeah,
you don't
that
mind
was actually
too
not
much.
bad. Yeah, I thought there was no way he'd get that pulled off.
It was very close.
So the Oracle's going to roam here. Just keeping an eye to make sure he keeps that alive. I mean, I have to imagine every atom inside of Classic's body is focusing on having that not get picked off, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, especially after kind of a, I don't know if it's a misclick or you know, miscontrol or just raw nerves, but losing that last fight due to micro. You want to make sure that you keep your clicks and your play very clean. It's interesting, the, I don't mean this in a negative way, but the repetitiveness of interactions here in these games. The fact that it's been a lot of the same stuff from Protoss and Zerg and trying to find different ways to interact with it and see what's the most valuable approach. It also makes you wonder what would happen if this was a best of 9, right?
Right. I feel like for Classic, just he knows that he is one of the best, if not the best, defensive PvZ players in the world right now.
Right.
So why would you change what doesn't seem broken? By the way, Rogue
Yeah.
cutting right now at 49 drones, ton of Lings, +1 melee, Baneling's Nest also being produced again.
And he might want to try to hit before that blink finishes. We saw this work.
I think he should be able to.
Yeah, we saw this beat Hero. And, you know, the thing with Oracles is, like, they can help and fight, but if they're not there, then it doesn't really matter, right?
We've seen this twice against Classic as well, to varying degrees of success from Rogue. In one of those maps, I believe, it was the game where Classic had lost multiple Oracles earlier on, and so there was just simply nothing to stop the flood. By the way, definitely a good position. Even Classic orbing in some safety stalkers there behind, just in case those Lings were able to shimmy their way on through. I wonder how much of a commitment this will be from Rogue. He is adding in additional drones. There are 36 Lings on the field, which is enough to levy some serious pressure, but I feel like in games in the past, Rogue made a lot more Lings and a lot more Banelings before attacking that third. Here it seems like he's thinking a little bit better of it, pulling back, adding in a ton of drones with this fourth base and the lair. So maybe a little bit of a feign, or maybe just something he is reading with his Ling movements or with the Oracles gathering energy. He's deciding not to go for that attack on the third base. He's not going to try and break down the static defense with the Banelings. He's not going to try and clear out the Lings, or clear out the probes with the Zerglings. Instead, he is just going to say, all right, I have these Lings. They're going to provide me the safety to drone up freely. And now we will go into Lair Tech Hydra.
Yeah.
This time with Overlord drops, I believe. Speed was being researched there a moment ago.
Yeah, which I think is a total telegraph move to the drops there. Some pinging here onto the units to try to see if there's any movement. Rogue is up on 5 bases here. And, or about to be on 5 bases, but is looking really strong. This is a pretty large map. They're pretty far from each other. You know, some of the other maps we've had, it's been probably a little bit easier for Classic to actually push on, because like you hold the attack and then it's your turn to maneuver into their side of the map to fight. Here, I do wonder if counterattacks are going to be almost too much to handle for the Protoss.
Overlord drops, morphing in. Only 2 of them thus far, so it's not the mass drop style that we saw from Rogue in the past, at least not yet. I wonder if this could be for Banelings. We don't have +2 melee, but more Banelings are morphing in, 4 at a time. Baneling drops on the expansions on the mineral lines while the Hydras attack the front is a possibility. Wow, Classic is not playing around with the defense. So many cannons and shield batteries morphing in. All right, it will be those Baneling drops.
Okay, the Overlord's going to come up here.
Classic seems quite well prepared to deal with this with all the static defense.
Is he watching here?
It's only 7 probes in that mineral line, so I think he's not particularly concerned, and he immediately spots this drop.
Okay, and this is just denied fully. 5 probes killed there. And now he's going to go for mass Banes. kind of an interesting move to see him do that. I thought maybe he'd like send some lings to, I don't know, like somewhere else to try to draw the screen away. So much of that's just being a Timmy 2 screens where you like make the screen go somewhere else and then you try to have the Banes hit the workers.
There was a little bit of that where he tried to go in and successfully went in at the 4th base, but unfortunately for Rogue, there were just a handful of probes there, so he got as much damage as he could, but that was it. And it looks like we're going to be having a massive attack from Rogue. But this static defense from Classic is seemingly overwhelming. We have so many cannons warping in. We have so many Archons to absorb the impact of the Banelings. I'm not sure this is a breakable position.
Yeah, it looks a little tough.
This is a
Couple
defense
bottlenecks here.
tailor-made to stop a Lair Tech all in. Here Rogue comes.
And he's going to storm this down right now. The cannon's doing a decent amount of damage. The probes fleeing behind here. No casualties there. The Archons just soaking up those Banelings. And the Nexus doesn't even lose all of its shields.
The unit positioning was just so impeccable there by Classic. The Archons absorbing the brunt of the damage there, creating a wall that the Banelings could not pass. The Storms raining down on them, cleaning them up, and that was an incredibly expensive trade for Rogue. Classic, he might not know if the attack is over or not. Rogue is locking in again. Classic, he is teching up into the 2nd Stargate, into the Fleet Beacon. He is starting additional upgrades. He's getting Immortals. This army isn't quite as potent, and there isn't as much static defense. I feel like if Rogue is going to get damage done, this 4th place is going to happen right now.
Yeah, it's important to deal with this next attack that's come in right now. The Banes are going to spill in. The probes are once again evacuated. The Archons cleaning up those Banes. The Hydra's in the back, but they're kind of stuck focusing on that battery. They're not getting the damage done they need. They're not all fighting together in unison. Some more Storms come down, and Warpins come back in. The Nexus is sniped the last second. And, you know, I think you got to take that, right? But he didn't kill the majority of the workers. We've got Zealots here counterattacking with these Warpins right now. In fact, he's going to pick up and go elsewhere. And the 4th Nexus has been restarted. And so much of this is about Classic continuing to get a more complex and sophisticated army, whereas Rogue is locked into that layer tech. In other words, Hydra, Ling, and Bane.
Classic going to re-expand here to the 4th. I will say this is going much better for Rogue than it was in previous games. He's able to finally make some progress, taking down that expansion. Look at the minimap. There was another Zealot drop in the main base of Rogue. He was able to deal with that quite quickly, and now he's gunning for another fight. Storm's coming in right here on the front line. Those Banelings are already taking 2 ticks of damage. But Classic, he is nearing a maxed army. A maxed army with a ton of Archons again, 8 Templar, adding in the Immortals. The upgrades also for Classic just through the roof right now. +2 shields, I believe, again being started. +3 ground weapons just completed. It feels like Classic's army might have become a little bit too developed for this Lair Tech push to work. Stack defense also loaded up.
Okay.
Once again, Rogue coming in. Storms on the Banelings. They're getting relatively good connections, but the Storms are so good. Oh, the beginning of that engagement, fantastic for Rogue. But the Storm's cleaning up the reinforcing Banes. These traits have been so expensive for our Zerg player.
Yeah, he's super saturated at these patches, so he can just cycle workers over here and immediately just pick up where he left off, drinking up the resources at this base. Zerg is massive, by the way, but Protoss is following all of the necessary steps to eventually have a counter push. Wind up, what is this, number 4 from the Banes. He's going to try to once again just flatten this. The whole plan here from the Zerg is to just, with overwhelming power, trample, flatten this position to where the Protoss is going to be back on 3 bases or back on 2 bases, and from there the game's over. So all Protoss has to keep trying to do is sustaining. Triggering these little traps up here is a great move, but also the Protoss setting Archons out in the front to snipe those Banes. One of the moves from Zerg here is to try to make sure things are sort of spread out enough that the Storms can't be optimized.
Oh, Classic is moving forward. Rogue is going to try and go for a surround. He's attacking it only on one angle. The Storms, again, just fantastic on those Banelings. So many of them getting taken out. Rogue brought a lot of his army back to deal with this Zealot drop. Warp Prism still alive over here at the 1 o'clock position. Oh, not anymore. But Classic, I must say, his army is just getting better and better. He's replacing lost gateway units now with Tempest. The mothership is being built. We still have 4 Archons, 4 Mortals. The weakest units in this army is only 6 Stalkers as Rogue once again wants to move in on this position. Those Storms zoning him away.
He's got to be careful. Those Hydras are going to do full damage to the Archons. The Archons are there to fire at and soak up Baneling hits. The Storm is there to hit everything, but mainly Baneling and Hydra. And again, the unit comp, it's looking eerily familiar to the games that Classic has won. He's just getting enough of a complex army, but is he overextending here? He's going to go back. Not much to defend on the right side. Time Warp goes down.
Oh, there's no Overseer, is there? You can't see much of this army. The Overseer a little bit too late. The connections were not good enough.
Oh my God, and he's got the Zealots down here killing off workers.
Oh no, Rogue hemorrhaging economy over here on the left side. The Overseer was a little bit too late. He was not expecting a mothership to come out in that moment. And that means that Classic, for a couple of crucial seconds, was able to get just uncontested damage done on the Zerg army. And now we're finally reaching a stage where, yes, Classic is only on 4 bases, but at last he has more workers than his opponent. His supply is eclipsing his opponent. His army is more refined. Now carriers are coming in. Rogue, he knows that this attack has run out of steam. He's adding in more drones, trying to replace that lost economy. He's getting additional upgrades. He's going into Hive. But I'm worried it might be a little bit too late. Classic, he's already unlocked the full tech tree. Yes, we have a Spire, a Hive, a Lurker Den all being built now by a Rogue. But is Classic going to give him the time?
Yeah, I think this is where the counter push comes in. But I want to go back to an idea we mentioned earlier, which is the counterattack potential from Zerg, right? It's actually pretty long to travel across this map. I mean, the creep spread's pretty good for one, but just to get to the important bases, you could already see on the minimap, Rogue is kind of lining up for angles to come in and counterattack where the army might not be.
In a normal game, I would say yes, but in this situation, Classic braced so hard for a lair-based all-in. These expansions are already fortified with so many cannons, with so many shield batteries. I don't think the counterattacks, at least at the 3rd and the 4th base, are a viable option here for Rogue anymore. It's really all or nothing in terms of the engagement, and you can see he is rushing to try and get these Hive Tech Lurkers out to get a bit more of a bastion there on the ground, something that can stop this push. But Classic already has the answer. He's already going into Sky Toss. We only have 5 Hydras and 4 Queens. I'm not sure anything else shoots up for Rogue right now. We have Carriers and Tempest for Classic. This Protoss army is so refined.
But did he move too slowly as well? I mean, we're seeing the tech switch happen in real time. The Vipers are here now. The Lurkers are out. The Hydras have been replenished. And no bases have been poked out. The Protoss is, you know, maybe he's wanted to play super safe, and that's why he's going to move now when the cannons are done. But let's see how much damage this can actually do. There's one observer over here. Wow. Not for long, though. I was just going to say.
Survived much longer than I would have thought. But for Classic, it's an easy thing to do to start the transition from this because you are already going into Sky Toss. Sky Toss is how you deal with these armies. And so he adds in another Stargate. He continues the air upgrades. +2 air weapons is underway. +3 shields already. By the way, affecting not only the ground units, but of course the structures and the air as well is going to provide a lot of sustainability to this Sky Toss fleet. And we just have a minefield of stasis traps and photon cannons everywhere on Classic side of the map. That gives him the freedom to move around like this. Of course, you need to be careful against those 17 high-tech Lurkers, but there's very little anti-air.
Whoa.
Classic. Maybe
That
a
is
little bit over
wall
eager.
of damage you are walking into. Okay, he's going to go into the soft spot. He gets up to the top center. The Lurkers want to push.
They can outrange the static defense, but you got to slowly chip away at it as Rogue. The Lurkers, they have so much damage potential here on the ground, but the anti-air is just lacking.
Yeah.
You can see Rogue, he's losing supply and he's remaxing on Corruptors. He's trying to add in some more Hydras as well. He knows that he desperately needs to advance the anti-air capability of his army. Oh, going for a Nidus Canal in the main base as well. If he can get Lurkers into the main, especially after the recall pops here at this forward expansion, Rogue might be able to take down some very key infrastructure. But Classic, he's able to take it down in the main base. Rogue instead going for a Nidus here on the front.
He's going to clean this up, no problem.
Very defensive time warp there.
Okay, Corruptors are going to be out. He's going to try to move out again. I mean, the Lurkers can be relocated, but, you know, the Tempest can basically sit back and just deal lots of damage. There's not a whole lot you can do. He's got to be careful, though, not to overextend with the Archons, excuse me. At the same time, I mean, it's, you know, not a ton of bases for Protoss. The bottom left and the top right are vacant. Zerg never expanded into there. I can't imagine Protoss can get there very easily just with the kind of army you have. It's sort of this slow roam death ball.
This is a very low economy late game.
Yeah.
Classic only just now starting to distance mine. Ooh, good feedback. Kills one Viper. Badly injures another.
Okay, he's going to get the Nidus Worm here. I don't think that Classic knows about this either. By the way, these bases are going to mine out for Protoss. So, like, you do need to get back there and kind of get something done with these. Or you are going to be on a nearly drained economy. The resource banking and gas banking is incredible right now for Classic. He's got a lot. Rogue is going to start to spike up here as he's pretty much maxed out. Rogue takes the Nexus out, which may be a bigger deal. We're going to see in the next minute or two here. He is sort of force pushing his way through. Ooh. Basically the giant death ball that Zerg has, this big line of defense. He's got to be careful, though. Don't get harpooned.
That was so much damage on this army. No, Classic, it might feel like he has a better economy because he has 70 workers, but they are not efficiently saturated. It's actually Rogue on 59 drones who's ahead in income at this moment.
Okay, he wipes this again. This base is becoming more insignificant.
Oh,
what am
no!
I watching?
So many units get Templar, Archon, Immortal.
It seems like they got fished in there.
This is very bad for Classic. I feel like he's starting to lose a lot of critical momentum. Let's not forget, Rogue was basically all in on layer.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fact that Rogue has been able to convert this into a late game where he is inching closer and closer to an even match is incredible. And for Classic, he's making these plays with the Zealots. He's trying to take down these bases here in the corner. He was able to destroy the hatchery at 12 o'clock. This is very tricky. Oh
my God!
The Archons and the Storms! Every Corruptor just died!
That was insane. They were like double right click there.
No!
And the Archon just like damaged everything at once.
There's hardly any anti-air left here for Rogue. You can see the frustration on his face in that moment. Every Corruptor lost. Vipers getting picked off by the Tempest. Yes, they're able to abduct one carrier, one Tempest. They are going down, but the lack of anti-air is really painful here for Rogue.
Rogue's supply has plummeted, and he's almost supply blocked. A few more Overlords hatch. He has 14 more making.
Those Corruptors, they can't be
That's
replaced.
It. GG.
GG. Classic is your GSL Code S champion.
Man, oh man. That was just an incredible finals. What an incredible ending. Classic sticking with the most conservative, most tech-heavy, most, I guess you could say, well-earned victories there, going all the way to late game, winning with the Tempest, getting the Archons, the Carriers, the Immortals, everything, until at the very end, he just has it all. And Rogue, a former world champion, 4-time GSL champion, was unable to stop him.
Classic, his first GSL Code S victory in over a decade, defeating Sioux 4-2, and now defeating Rogue all the way in game number 7, a well-deserved win. That last map, an absolute nail-biter.
We're going to be going to an interview now.
Wow. How many years has it been?
14년 시즌 칭으로부터
Back in 2014, it was 11 years ago you lifted a GSL trophy.
김도우 선수가 전성기였잖아요.
And that was when you were in your prime.
상에서도 나왔을 때 그때 기고만장하면 안 된다는 이야기.
And even in the interview, you said that you have to let your ego down. You cannot afford to let your guard down. But this time, after a decade,
GSL 역사
you finally lifted GSL trophy.
쉬운 네 번째 우승자가 됐는데요. 어떠세요?
It makes you the 54th winner of GSL.
2014년에 우승하고 이렇게 오래 걸릴 줄 몰랐거든요.
After winning the GSL in 2014, I didn't think it would take this
11년
long.
만에 이렇게 우승을 다시 하게 돼서 너무 좋고.
You know, the 11 years, I feel extremely happy after winning today. And after I finished my military service, my performance was not like before. And I was thinking that I might never be able to lift the trophy again. But then watching the other players lift the trophy has been an inspiration to me. And I tried really hard today. And I'm glad that the efforts bore fruit in the end.
정말 이 전역 이후에 다시 선수 생활을 한다는 것 자체가 굉장히 어려운 일인데.
I mean, it's very difficult to come back as a player after finishing your military service. It's an admirable effort.
했을 거라는 생각을 하고요. 그리고 이렇게 우승을 할 수 있을 때까지 좀 도움을 주신 고마운 분들 많이
And I'm sure there are a lot of people who you're thankful for.
11년
thankful
전에
to.
우승을 했는데 다시 한번 우승하는 걸 좀 바라기 위해서 11년 동안 기다려 주신 거잖아요.
And the fans have stayed as your fans for 11 years, hoping to watch you win the GSL again. They're always there for you. They have your backs. They always support you. So any shout out to the thankful ones.
지금 게임한 지가 한 10몇 년이 됐는데
It's been over a decade since I became a pro gamer.
지금 게임을 하는 동안에 팬분들의 응원이 굉장히 힘이 되었고
And you know, the fans have been my driving force.
네, 이제 요즘에도 응원들 많이 해주셔가지고
And they're still supporting me. I get a lot of energy from the fans.
응원해주는 팬분들 정말 너무 감사하고
So I'm extremely thankful to the fans. I want to say thank you.
응원해주시는 만큼 오늘 보답할 수 있게 돼가지고
And I think today I was able to repay that debt.
정말 이 선수 스타크래프트 2 선수 입장에서는 GSL은 굉장히 의미 있는 대회잖아요.
As a StarCraft 2 pro gamer, the GSL stage means a lot.
도전만에 우승을 차지하게 됐는데요.
And after many challenges, you finally became champion.
대회가 있고요. 그리고 계속해서
And EWC is coming up.
이어나가면서 다시 한번 그 전성기를 좀 맞이할 때가
And you will be able to meet your second prime soon.
부탁드리겠습니다.
So anything you want to say?
네, 지금 거의 군대 갔다 와서는 최고의 폼인 것 같은데
After coming back from military service, I think this is the best performance I'm putting out right now.
대회에서도 꼭 우승할 수 있는 모습
In the Esports World Cup, I'll try my best and try to put on a good performance. I look forward to your support. Thank you.
그리고 자 끝으로 오늘 또 김도우 선수의 우승을 바라는 마음을 가지고 저 멀리
And today, there are so many fans from overseas today in the venue. So anything you want to say to them?
오늘 경기장 오고 나서 팬분들이 굉장히 많으셔가지고
Well, I realize a lot of fans are here at the venue today, which is pretty unusual. So, you know, it's been a long time since I last won on the stage, and I wanted to win again in front of many fans. And, you know, you made that dream come true today. So I'm really, really thankful. I want to thank you all.
자, 이병렬 선수도 저 이쪽으로 가운데로 같이
Rogue,
해서 좀
please come here.
또 얘기 나눠보도록 하겠습니다.
We want to have a word with you as well.
간절함으로 이번 시즌 2 정말 많은 노력을 통해서
You really wanted to hold up the trophy
김도우 선수의
in season 2.
인생에서도 실과까지 가는
And even in that match against Classic, it was a very neck-and-neck one.
오늘 무대가 좀 기억에 많이 남을 것 같아요.
And I think this, the final stage is one to remember.
팬분들에게 좀 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
Anything you want to say to the fans?
오늘 즐거운 주말에 이렇게 늦게까지 응원 와주신 팬들 너무 감사드리고
Well, I want to say thank you to all the fans for coming here on the weekend.
실력에 비해 이렇게까지 올라올 줄 몰랐고
And honestly, with my current performance, I didn't think I would make it this far.
저는 또 만족스럽습니다.
And you know, I was able to put on a satisfactory performance today against Classic.
여기서 큰 무대, 또 이제 큰 상금이 걸려 있잖아요.
I mean, with the EWC coming up, there's a huge amount of prize on that as well, right?
우승을 했기 때문에 EWC도 제가 막차를
I mean, even for the BlizzCon, I was the last one to secure a spot, and then I was able to come out on top in that event as well. So likewise for EWC, I'll try to get good results.
선수분들께 여러분 뜨거운 박수를
All right, please give a round of applause to the two players.
자, 선수분들 잠시 자리해 주시기 부탁드리겠습니다.
All right, you may exit the stage.
자리해 주시길 부탁드리겠습니다. 자, 2025년 GSL 올해 결승전 무대도 이렇게 많은
Excellent work, Andy. We're going to go to the awards ceremony now. What a finals, man. All the way to Game 7.
Yeah, 2 seasons in a row.
What is going on?
These gamers have gotten too good.
It's the writers at GSL.
The writers' strike is over.
That's
You thought
right.
it didn't affect us.
We've
It
got the
did.
writers back, and these are the finals weekend, guys.
The writers, much like the casters, also Protoss players.
That's right. It's Protoss paradise over here, guys.
Really a terrific, terrific set of games.
And I don't know if any words are going to be said here from any of the leadership here at Supernaut. So
2025 GSL 시즌 2.
they're going to announce the runner-up now. This is Rogue.
주인공 불러보겠습니다. 이병렬.
And the crowd goes wild.
Honestly, this has been one of the more passionate crowds I feel like we've gotten.
Oh man, it's electric in here.
Yeah.
So he gets his 5 million won, not bad. And obviously Rogue will be at EWC, which is some of the big breaking news here today. There was a lot more at stake than just who wins GSL.
Very exciting to have Rogue EWC. I cannot wait
Yeah,
to
that's going to be
what
cool
he
to see him
delivers
down.
there.
And dude, I mean, he could win it, man. He looks to be in great shape.
And for GuMiho too, the story isn't over. He still has that global qualifier. So in a way, it's a nice ending. All 4 players, they still have their shot at that global championship. And for Rogue, I mean, what a stunning season. Just coming back into form in such a strong way after such a strong hiatus in StarCraft 2. It was, what, 10 months almost?
Yeah.
Between GSL seasons.
GSL coming back stronger than ever.
자, 이번 결승전 무대도 이렇게 일요일 날 여러분들과 함께할 수 있도록 항상 고민해 주시고 GSL의 사랑의 주문을 무대로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
And now we're going to go. Oh, we're going to bring Kevin, our CEO. I think he has some words to say, Andy. I'll let you take it from here.
Hello, I'm Kevin, the CEO of Soup.
늦게까지 펼쳐진 결승전에 또 현장을 찾아주시고
Thank you for coming here at such a late hour, Kevin.
한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
I would like to give a short speech.
뜨거운 열기를 느껴서
Every time I go to the GSL venue, I can always feel the fans' passion.
참 놀라운 게 젊은 팬들이 많다는 게 전 너무
The surprising thing is I can see a lot of young fans, young StarCraft fans,
이병렬 선수
and that amuses me.
아깝게 주는 시간
And today was a very neck-and-neck match, and Rogue lost by a small margin. But he does have the EWC seeds, so I hope he's not too disappointed.
그리고 김도우 선수는 사실
And for Classic,
GSL 무대에서 제가 시상 무대에서 오늘 처음이에요.
I think it's my first time awarding him with the prize.
너무 기쁜, 너무 멋진 경기를 보여서
It's such a happy moment today.
여러분들 큰 응원 덕분이 아닌가 생각합니다.
And I think it's all thanks to the fans, the loud cheers from the fans.
앞달부터 시작된 EWC에서 최고의 성적.
And please look forward to the EWC as the players that are allowed for the huge amount of prize. Thank you.
2025
And now we're going to be awarding the first place trophy here. A very well earned victory. Classic, dude. What a crazy finals, man.
Yeah, this guy is just the iron wall. They could not break him.
Yeah.
Defense immaculate against Rogue. A Zerg that was so deadly.
And it goes to show you, man, you become a champion GSL 10 years ago. I think actually 11 years ago on stage. And then come back another 10 years and do it again. And this is the thing about RTS games, guys. They age like a fine wine. The more we learn about them, the more fun they become. People are always nostalgic for the old, but I do feel like we have way better games here in the modern era, and we will have even better ones in the future.
StarCraft just keeps getting better.
It really does.
Keep getting better.
That scares me every time they do that.
I
Every
almost
time I'm like,
jumped.
terrorist attack the GSL.
Yeah,
guys.
big congratulations for Classic.
Yeah. Shout outs to Classic. Shout outs to everybody. Thank you guys for being patient, waiting. We had this long period of time off, trying to figure out what is going on with StarCraft 2 and EWC. But hey, man, we showed up, and I'll tell you what, GSL delivered 2 amazing seasons. Finally, 2 Protosses.
And some of the best finals we've had in a long time, too.
Yeah.
Happy day.
Happy day, happy night. I mean, the whole evening was great. We've gotten very lucky too. The fact that we had 2 finals that went to the very last game is wild. The fact that the games were as interesting as they were. I mean, I'd never really been able to cast a finals where one guy's doing one kind of end game play over and over and over, and just most of the time getting there and making it work. He only had 1 deviation, which I loved. On some note, I almost wanted to end on that because it was like so, you know what I mean? It was so perfect. But then to see him kind of come back and once again do it, Interesting to see Rogue kind of lock into this layer tech and try to end the game as quickly, not as quickly as possible, but in a very specific kind of Zergy way was cool to see as well. I wonder how much of that we're going to see at EWC. There will be a little bit of downtime here before we're actually in Riyadh, but
for us, but for StarCraft too, there is still
there's
so
a lot more going
much action
Yeah.
ahead. I mean, it is really a jam-packed schedule all the way from now until EWC too.
It is. You're going to be busy if you're a StarCraft fan. There's a lot of stuff to watch, a lot of stuff to keep up with.
Yeah, but another great season of the GSL.
Yeah. I want to end the show, but I guess we can't. The Greencasters still talking. I'm like, we summed it up. We did. So, yeah, we'll see what the announcements are going to be after EWC. I'm hopeful for the future.
Yeah,
Join us for
well.
RSL. We'll be casting that as well in the next couple days here. And everything else StarCraft that's going on, keep up with it. We'll see you at the World Cup Finals. And we love you. Thanks again for joining. Bye-bye.
You can lose trust in a million people, but I promise not everybody's the same. I'll show you love even if all you see is evil, and that will never change. Change, change.